Hello, everyone. Welcome to another MCU crew. This week, we're fueled by lidocaine and heavy narcotics. At least I am.
I was about to say, whoa, what did I miss out on for breakfast?
I don't know about
Yeah.
you two. I don't know what you guys are doing, but yeah, I've got
Woo.
I was not made aware.
those lidocaine patches rocking.
Yeah.
We've got narcotics in the system. We're great. We're feeling fantastic. Just don't ask me to stand up, because I can't do that really easily.
What
I
happened?
would-
I was following your Twitter thing of
Yeah.
when you went to the hospital. Did you get a kidney stone? What happened?
No, it was the hospital ruled it as a lumbar strain, which is a lower back.
Through at your back.
Yeah, it's a lower back strain. So I'm
How did you
like,
strain it?
could have been so I have been working out now for about 5 or 6 weeks, and I think it could have been a multiple. There are 2 or 3 exercises it could have been, but none of them were like significant moments. Like I didn't know that that's what happened when it occurred. In fact, I kept
Did you
working out.
deadlift?
No, it was a goblet squat is what I think it most likely was. But it also could have been, I do another exercise, call it a dead bug. It could have been that. Could have been a couple of things, but I'm not 100% sure exactly what it was. I was fine when it happened. I was like, oh, that didn't feel right. And I just kept, maybe I'm okay. I'm done. I'm gonna go take a shower. Went upstairs, took a shower. When I got out, I had a hard time like putting clothes on. I was like, this is weird. I walked out to the car and like got halfway into the car, then realized I can't move like at all. Like I'm stuck. And so I stood up in the garage, and that was as far as I got. And we called an ambulance and all that shit. So off to the hospital I went and sat there for 4 hours. They put a bunch
Did they
of
stick some stuff in your back to like numb your ass out, or was it?
yeah. They gave me a shot in my no, it was in my left arm. And then gave me a bunch of pills and said, good luck, have fun. I was hoping they were going to give me steroids into like the actual lower back. But apparently they don't do that unless it's like absolutely needed. So maybe I didn't complain
Well, I guess
enough.
it's good it wasn't absolutely needed, right?
Yeah, right. So, but it took like 4 to 8 hours, and then I could finally walk. But it's like an elderly person's walk where I'm like hunched over and doing this kind of thing. And then I was able to stand up fully straight this morning. So there's progress has occurred. I should be back by, I would think, about a week. They said it would be about a week or 2 for a recovery process.
Well, that's good. I want to say, hilariously, also shout out to Dr. John.
Yeah,
I saw your messages.
He's great.
Dr. John out there saving lives.
He's crushing it. He was so I was when I was standing outside and like literally didn't move for 30 minutes. Aaron's like, what do you want to do? I have to go back. Like I've got meetings. I can't just stand here all day with you. Right. Like I got to do shit. And I was like, well, I don't want to call an ambulance because it's going to be stupid expensive. And she texted John. It was like, do we need to call an ambulance? And John was like, yeah, call one. And so we just called one. So he's the reason why I went to the hospital. Probably better than I did.
I must tell you, it is hilarious because now everyone I know who's like, yeah, something terrible happened to me. So I was talking to Dr. John. I'm like,
dude,
what?
He's like the streamer helpline. He's great.
Like, you what?
Yeah.
So funny.
He's great.
Well,
fantastic.
I need Dr. John for when I have to, like, you know, he's going to get me an illegal kidney or some shit.
There you go.
When I start falling apart, I'm going to need. Yeah. I mean, like, wink, wink, you know, not illegal, wink, you know.
Yeah. It's true.
When I need those wink, body parts.
It's true. How was Chicago, Jesse? I was going to come up there, then all this shit happened.
I would have loved to see you. It was great. I did 2 things I've never done before. The first night I got there, Crendo was like, bro, I'm going to take you out for a good night. We went to medieval times. I was like,
oh,
what?
God. You never been to medieval times?
Okay.
Never been to medieval times.
I feel like that would be like, I feel like you were born at
very
medieval
Jesse
times.
thing.
Yeah, it's like the most Jesse thing.
I got drunk enough that I tried to get the wenches to revolt against the queen. We had a guy, he named himself, his name was, I think, Mike or Ryan, don't remember, but he said, hi, I'm your man wench. I'll be serving you today. And I was like, man wench. There's more of us than the royals. We shall rise up against the queen. It was great. It was super fun. And our night won, so it was even better. And it was the craziest thing I've ever seen. I was like, I didn't know that when they fought, that it was like the most over. It was like watching Star Trek fighting in the 60s.
Did you never see Cable Guy
Like,
with Jim Carrey?
I mean, I have, but in that
Okay.
they're like actually, fighting.
Yeah.
In this, like a dude would swing and a guy would roll 50 feet. It was like the craziest thing. I was like, this is amazing. We did that, and that was wild. And then after our show on Friday, on Saturday, we went to the Bristol Renaissance Fair, which was huge.
Yeah.
That place was massive. And yeah, we walked around tonight. People watched, and there was a moment at the end of the day where it started to rain, and then like a bunch of dudes on drums started to like pound the drums, and I want to say 200 people got in like this wild drum orgy. I don't know what was going on, but it made me realize that like over the course of 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 years, humans have not changed, really. Those drums started, and people like
Was it like the
started
fucking-
going off.
Was it the scene from
Yeah,
Zion?
Yeah, I was like, you know what? A good beat gets people moving no matter what. And it was like
Sure.
pouring down. They were like dancing. I was like, this is tribal as shit. Like we're still the same people we always were. Like, this is wild. So it's pretty neat. I don't know. I've never done those things before.
Did you get to see the Mud Man? I know Crindor was talking.
I did see the Mud
hyping that
Show.
up.
It was actually, I'm gonna say this unironically.
Okay.
The Mud Brothers were hilarious.
They're called the Mud
Genuinely
Brothers.
funny.
That's who they are.
Yeah. Genuinely the funniest thing I've ever seen. Shout out to our boy Billy Von Billy. He was great. He was very funny. I assume they've been doing the show for 45 years, so like they know how to land a joke. Fantastic. Actually, really funny. So yeah, I enjoyed
Okay.
it. I never
All right.
been those places before. I'm not a big like Ren Fair guy.
Yeah.
Not something I do often. So I was like, this was fun.
Did you
I
dress
ate a
up?
big ass turkey leg, and it was all over my face. Yeah.
Were you dressed up
Great.
at the Ren Fair? Did Crindor just
No,
dress
I
up?
wore a t-shirt
Oh,
and like jeans because I was like, I don't want to get bug bites. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
It was I didn't dress up as anything. I do have a question. This is just something I'm putting out there. When did people start to become mushroom people? Pirates, sure, checks out. Fairies, obviously. The Fae, very Renaissance. All these different like thematically D&D characters, sure. But there was a very high number of people dressed as mushroom people.
Like Myconid type
like
shit?
like a mushroom cap head. And I don't know when that
I
started.
think
I have
it's
no idea.
Instagram.
Instagram did that, huh?
Instagram was a mushroom cap. Because even the other day I saw a bunch
Yeah,
of like
because Instagram is like crazy, guys. Like, there's people on there that forage.
Oh,
and
sure, yeah.
they go in the woods, and now you've got like CottageCore, and like mushrooms are
CottageCore.
considered cute now. See, back in my day, mushrooms were considered monstrous, but now I guess people think they're cute, and so
Wait, what
I'm
is
sure there's
cottage
people
core?
that are like, CottageCore is a romanticization of living in the country from white girls who've never lived in the country.
Oh, that's my wife.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
well, she bought a
floral
cottage, so like,
patterns, and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna gather flowers and bake bread and have a farm. Now, as someone who grew up on a farm, I could tell you, and anybody in chat could tell you, farming is hard ass fucking work. There's
Yeah.
nothing glamorous about it. There's nothing. But these people are like, no, I would have one cow, and I'm like, yeah, and you would.
oh, I don't think she wants
hard.
to do the whole cow thing. I think that's a
Holy-
subsect.
Holy
So
shit,
that's
Bronze.
hard.
That was the most accurate arrow to the heart roast I've ever heard in my entire life. You've never been more apt. Oh my god.
I mean, that's what it is. They're like, I long for the days of Little House on the Prairie, and I'm like, life sucked back then, boo, but you do you.
Ye old cottage core. Okay.
Oh, I will say, I did see two people who were dressed up as gnomes, like very cute gnomes. They had like the rounded ears and everything. I want to say, best outfit at the entire. They look so cute.
Are we talking
They
like
were
World
like-
of Warcraft gnomes or what? Like
no, I'm
what?
talking like
Garden
Like-
gnome.
yeah, like garden gnome.
Okay.
And they were so cute, and they were like holding hands the entire time walking around. And I was like, that is a goal right there. Like, that is very cute. Everyone else was like half pirate, half robot. There's one guy was dressed up as Ash from Evil Dead. And I was like, well, all right, that checks out. Sure. Like he traveled back in
is
time
a
at
Ren
one
Fair
point.
just like an excuse to cosplay for these people?
Convinced of this.
Is it like a
Become that.
Convinced of
it's like
it.
a cosplay
Yeah.
testing ground or something?
My local Ren Fair, because this used to piss me off. I don't know why. Because I guess maybe because it breaks my immersion, where I'm like, that's not. But my local Ren Fair has created one weekend where it's the multiverse theme. So now
Oh,
people come on multiverse weekend, which I prefer. So they have pirate weekend, fairy weekend. I think it's like the other one's like monsters and
they have
myths
like
or something.
anime weekend.
No,
Oh,
I think that all falls under multiverse.
darn.
Like, listen, if
Okay.
you have anything that's not one of these things, come on multiverse weekend. Otherwise, stop it. Don't come during
I got
Pirate Day.
I got schooled because I was like, Krendor, I don't get it. Half the people here are pirates, and the other half have fairy wings, and that person is like a dragon man. None of this was in the Middle Ages. And Krendor goes, that's because it's a Renaissance fair. And I was like, whoa, all right.
That sounds like Krendor. That's Krendor cadence. That's
Like, got
Krendor
me.
statement. Yeah.
Touche.
Yeah. That's how that goes.
Got roasted.
Roasted, toasted.
Roasted.
Yeah.
Toasted.
Yeah. Well, cool. It sounds like you had fun in Chicago.
Yeah,
Chi-town.
sounds like you had a terrible weekend.
It, yeah.
Let's find our happy balance.
Let's find Bronze. What'd you do?
Yeah,
Tell us about
what'd you
your
do?
experience this weekend. What happened? What'd you do?
Let's see. Okay, I took my first boxing class.
Oh, how'd that go?
And number one, as someone who works out pretty regularly, it is the toughest thing
You were
in the
dead in
entire
like
world.
60 seconds,
I
right?
I slept at 8 o'clock at night. I was like, I slept like a baby. I slept like the dead. It is the hardest I've ever worked. And I felt like my aim was pretty good. But when you're hitting a bag for an hour and you're supposed to always land on the first two knuckles.
Yeah.
And I missed enough and landed on the other three that my hands were horribly swollen and bruised, and they've only just now recovered. I had to ice them. They were
What
like bed.
what weight gloves were you using?
160.
Okay.
I don't know what the thing is. I think is it ounces? Like I just remember being 160.
Yeah, I think ounces work. I think they also do them in pounds, like 5 pounds, 2.5
Because I know
pounds.
you buy
like
them
that.
according to your weight, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it also depends. I know it's different in like UFC and stuff like that. They use a different mechanism for all that. I've had it explained to me, but I can't explain it back because it's been a while. But it was probably 16 ounce. Is that what it was? Was it 160 or 16 ounce?
Well, let me look. Hold up.
It was probably 16 because 160 is fucking heavy.
I think 160 is the length of my hand wraps, and I'm mixing it all up now.
That sounds.
Here we go.
Right.
I love that you went in full, like you did
16.
hand wraps and everything. This wasn't a half-ass thing. You were boxing.
Well, you'll break your fucking hand if you don't.
Yeah, no, that's badass.
Yeah, so like I learned like some fundamentals and then hit the bag for a while. I'm definitely not up to sparring.
You got the lingo down. You hit the bag for a while. That sounds like a seasoned boxer there.
Lingo. No, I'm just at the point of conditioning right now to like get in the base level of health to move up to it. But I didn't realize that like my forearms hurt so bad. Like everything hurt. I was like, oh, because I lift. So I was not thinking that this would be that sore, but I don't work out like these muscles. This here, everything hurt. Holding my mouse hurt. Writing down notes hurt.
Boxing is exhausting, man.
It's
awful.
Even though I have zero boxing experience, I do have a friend who boxed for a while, and and this is one friend, so whatever.
Okay.
He told me that you know how ellipticals have those things you hold on to and you go like this when you're on them? He said that helps a lot because with the constant like this movement of boxing, doing elliptical stuff like helps. So if you need that arm stamina, I guess that's an option.
Yeah, that makes sense. Did you do the little ding?
The combo down feels really good.
Oh yeah, they had you doing different like jab punch or
yeah. The coach came over like with the mitts to test if I could do it. And the one thing I was like half-assing is like in the combo I had a slip where you have to like go off center to dodge a punch. And so I did get popped in the mouth with the mitt once because I like nailed the rest of the combo and then forgot the slip, but she was like in the group too, and she like popped me and she was like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry." I was like, "No, I thought I was gonna dodge." She's like, "I thought you were gonna do it too."
Yeah,
I was like, "I don't know what happened."
that'll happen.
And the other thing that like completely broke my brain is I like had it down, everything was great. She's like, "Okay, now use your other foot as your leading foot." And I just like stared at the bag. It was like that math meme where I was like,
How do you do this? Yeah.
and she's like, "Okay, jab." And I was like, she's like, "That's a cross." And I was like, "Great, because now this is the." She's like, "Yeah, you got to learn the combo southpaw too." And I was just like,
Woo!
Did you do any
Having
speed
a
bag?
Rocky moment. You were doing like a.
my brain doesn't work like that.
It
Yeah.
takes a while, man. Did you do any speed bag? Like the little dangly
No,
bag?
no.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
That's pretty fun, but that's also like I've done a little bit of that. It's so unbelievably tiring. Like you'll
I
just
can
die.
imagine.
And for like if they do it for like so long, and the first time you go and do it, they're like, "All right, here we go. I'll be back in like 10 minutes." And it's like, "What? I can't. I'm done. I did it for 30 seconds.
Right?
I can't hold
Yeah.
my arms anymore." Yeah.
Oh
So
my gosh.
it's rough.
So yeah, they messaged me, like the people at the gym messaged me last week and they were like, "Hey, are you gonna come back in? Like we always recommend beginners come in like twice a week so you can get down fundamentals. And then if you want to come once a week, you can come
Yeah.
once a week." And I was like, I'm not ready to. Like my bones hurt.
You
Like,
got to go back though.
my
You
my
got
hands are bruised and they're like, "Yeah, you just wrap them up." I was like, I will cry if I hit the bag. Like I'm gonna start crying.
to go
The
watch
first thing
some.
I did was invest in nicer gloves because I had some like cheap like
Oh, did they
gloves.
provide them?
Yeah, I had to use the beater gloves that they had there. They were like, so they weren't really my size and they weren't really my weight. And the first thing they commented is they're like, "You hit the bag really hard." And I was like, "What?" And they're like, "Yeah, they're like, you like have great follow through. You punch through the bag, which is good." They're like, "But for a beginner, like you might want to lay off a little." And I felt that the next day. So the first thing I did was get gloves that are more my speed because the women's gloves they had there, I don't think they did my knuckles any favors.
Makes sense. That's awesome though.
But I bought cute gloves. I did my research and bought cute ones with skulls on them.
Are they pink? Are they?
No, they're black on black.
Okay, there you go. I started to say, I was like, I don't know what I I should have said, I don't know what cute is in the world of bronze. And now I know it's skulls.
Skulls
That's,
with crowns on them.
yeah, that's cute. Skulls with crowns. Exactly. Exactly.
And I got Chun-Li hand wraps from Super Rare. So I think I'm invested now. I think I'm in. Like
Huh.
got my
Okay.
Street Fighter hand wraps.
Is it just boxing or is it do you want to do like kickboxing or what's your
They
goal
do
here?
kickboxing at the gym I'm going to. I
Yeah.
don't think I'm ready for kickboxing because
That's also
boxing
exhausting.
just about put me into a coma.
Yeah.
So getting legs involved, I don't even know how that's gonna go.
Yeah.
Do you have?
Ne-
Did
Literally
you
never been that tired.
get your boxing shorts? Do you have those?
No, I don't have boxing shorts yet. No.
Can we look? Can we get the MC Crew logo on some boxing shorts for you, and have you and in the back it says bronze, and then on the I'm just saying.
Then I go to Streamer Showdown and,
There you go.
and beat down on these people that only train for a couple months because I've been training for
I
like a
would
year.
love to see that. I would love to see that.
It would have to be hotel bronze.
Oh, it would.
Yeah.
It would have
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Are you
Jasmine Hotel
kidding me?
Bronze. Yeah.
You don't think Hotel Bronze would show up to that fight? Hotel Bronze would be like, we'd have Hotel Bronze for 2 weeks beforehand. Oh my god.
We just
That'd be
read her
the
like
best.
Wanda Stan tweets or something for 2 weeks. leading into
I
the
would
fight.
be in the audience screaming like I was Adrian. I'd be like, "Go Bronze, go!"
Well, then we got to
I'd
get
be
you
so
cosplayed
hyped.
all up. Yeah, we got to get you like a wig and all that stuff going. It'd be great.
I'll put the wig on and like the cardigan.
Yeah.
Like I'll be
Just-
crying for the entire time. Yeah.
The crying is all well and good, but would you believe in me enough to put money on me? Do you think I'd win?
Ooh.
Are you fucking I would, of course. Are you kidding me? I'm
Aw.
convinced you would pummel some. If they put you against another streamer, you kidding me? I would put money. The only thing I wouldn't put money on is you stopping in time before doing real damage. I think you would go like berserker rage and
Yeah,
start actually hurting them, and they'd have to pull you off.
I
This is
agree.
what I think. I'd be like, "Nope, I'm not putting money on that."
Yeah, I agree. That sounds about right.
Rage
Yeah.
is a good motivator.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, agreed. Agreed. I'm just saying, they'd be like, "Stop! She's already dead. Stop!" You just be like, "Ah!"
Start punching the ref.
Start fighting the audience.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I did always love wrestling for that. I live for the drama. So like
Yeah.
I love like the wrestling drama when they start punching the ref and everyone's like, "Oh, he hit the ref." And they like start going. I'm like, I know it's all rehearsed, but I still love it when they like go into the ring, grab a chair. They're like, "Where did that come from?"
Yeah, it's awesome. Dude,
Yes.
have you ever been to like a live WWE or any live wrestling show? They're even like the
Yes.
like indie, quote unquote indie live
Yeah,
wrestling
I've been
shows
to
are
the indie
badass.
one. I
They're
haven't
so
been to
good.
like the big one. They're a lot of fun.
Yeah,
They're a lot of
the
fun.
energy is like there's so much random energy in that room. You're just like, this is fucking sick. I don't care who wins, but that dude's punching that dude, and that's fucking crazy. It's great.
That was honestly the best part of Glow.
Yeah, Glow is
Like
that's a fantastic show.
Glow
I'm
is
glad you
such a
watched
good
that.
show, but my favorite is like when they have what's her name, Debbie Egan. Like she's a soap opera star, and they're like, "Listen, you were made to be a wrestler. Like you have the chops." And she's like, "No, this is stupid." And they take her to a show, and halfway through, she's just like, "I get it." Like it just clicked. It just clicked with me. The storylines are the same as soap operas. The drama, like she's like, this is soap operas for men that drink beer and
Yep.
drive trucks. She's like, I get it. And I was like, seeing that happen on screen, I was like, that's what happens to people in real life. Like they're like, I don't really get this wrestling thing. And then once they're in because it's just one of those
Mhm.
things that you're like, I get it. It clicked for me. I get it now.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I've tried to get back into wrestling in the past year or so, but there's so much storylines that you have to like keep up with. It's kind of you either have to be like a full-time fan or not a fan at all. You can't like half-ass it.
I
I found.
agree.
So
Yeah, yeah. They move forward in that world very fast, and now it's like on top of WWE, you have like other great options. You've got like AEW, you've got New Japan Wrestling, and so like keeping on top of everything, I think is intimidating.
yeah,
I will agree with that. There's a
that's a great
lot
way to put
going
it.
on.
That's a great way to put it. Well, cool. We all had different. I would say we all had pretty different weekends. Jesse went to a Renaissance Fair
Mhm.
and put on a live show. Live show went well, by the way, Jesse. We didn't even talk about that. We talked about the Ren Fair, but everything
Yeah,
was
it
good.
was great.
Okay.
Absolutely. It is. It continues to amaze me that anyone shows up for anything I do.
Did you sell
So
out?
yeah, it's shout out to Lincoln Hall
That's
in
awesome.
Chicago. It's beautiful. It's incredible. Absolutely love it. Every time we're there, it's the wildest thing in the world. Just a blast to see.
I gotta go
Basically, if
to
you
a
want to know what a
Jesse
Cox
Rod.
and Creditor live show is, we literally harass the audience for 2 hours. It's lovely.
I'm sad I missed it.
Oh yeah.
That sounds like a
Oh,
good
it's
I
time.
wanna
beautiful.
go.
Yeah.
I
I'm
would
gonna
love
go,
for you
and
to be
if
there.
you harass me, I'll just be sitting there with my boxing gloves on. I'll come on my MCU crew boxing shorts. Buy
Oh,
tickets
God.
to that, chat.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Ron beats the shit out of Jesse, and Jesse likes it.
Yeah, I'd be
2022.
like,
There you go.
like you paid for this. You paid to come see this.
Yeah.
All cut up and bloody. Like this was the best show we've ever done.
Should be good. Look for it in the future. Jesse's just gonna invite Bronze. Do it up. Be a big show. Terms of MCU stuff.
Mhm.
Don't have that much. There's not. I mean, we got some leaked Echo set stuff. Tom Holland kind of made some news over the weekend. He announced that he's taking a break from social media. And he straight up said, I've been taking a break from social media for my mental health, but felt compelled to come on and talk about STEM4org. It's a charity that he'd like to take a moment to shine on their fantastic work. Posted a video about it and then said, let's get talking about mental health. So I think he just got overwhelmed. I would think on that level, it's kind of insane. Like you don't have the account is like not you anymore, right? Like you just can't read those
Mhm.
comments when you're that level of stardom in the world. I would think it's got to be way too much. So I get it, and I understand it. He talked. He says 13, 14 years. I've been acting. I can't seem to say what I need to say without umming and ahhing every 5 minutes. So I'm going to try again. I have taken a break from social media for my mental health because I find Instagram and Twitter to be overstimulating, to be overwhelming, to get caught up. And when I spiral, I read things about me online, and ultimately it's very detrimental to my mental state. So I decided to take a step back and delete the app. Yeah, cool.
Honestly, that's really inspiring that somebody like Tom Holland deals with that.
Yeah, I mean, everyone. Yes, I agree. It's nice to see that stars are humans at the end of the day, right? They're
Yeah,
not.
but
Yeah.
it also sucks to know that people just are assholes to everyone. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
that's true.
the internet
That's another.
sucks for
You can look
everyone.
at it that way too. Yeah.
I think like it's one of those things where, especially like in our field, where anytime you complain or talk about it at all, people are just like, well, that's part of your job. Like, because streamers have so much accessibility to everybody. But what's interesting is like celebrities now do as well, right? I was actually like discussing this with Jeff Robinson on one of our like last podcasts, was like how I felt like human beings aren't really equipped to like deal with that. Like we haven't evolved to that yet because it wasn't that long ago that you basically lived and died within 20 miles of your town. Like that wasn't that long ago. And
Hmm.
maybe you knew 30 people. And I remember like even in the beginning of Facebook, your average person would have like maybe 30 friends. And now it's not uncommon to have like 600, 700, 800 friends, right? Like, and these are for non-influencers. Like these are people I know that just are on Facebook that have that many connections and stuff. And I think influencers and actors and stuff of the past, maybe people didn't like them, but they didn't have to hear about it as often if
Yeah,
you
it wasn't
think
in your
about it.
face. Yeah.
Yeah, a critic might say, "Oh wow, this person sucked in this movie." But imagine if Halle Berry's Catwoman came out now. Like people hated that
Morbius.
back then, right?
Morbius.
Yeah. Like you just get turned into like a fucking joke. Like
Yeah.
in Morbius, at least it was like funny, haha. But for some people it turns into like, am I ever gonna work again? Like the person that voiced Jar Jar Binks tried to commit suicide.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Poor Jake
it's
Lloyd.
hor-
Yeah, that kid got messed up
yeah,
too.
it like destroys your life. And it's interesting that even someone that's generally well loved, like Tom Holland, still gets enough of like your face is funny and you're not talented and you're a bad Peter Parker to be like, oh my god, I need to step away from this. Because I also firmly believe the adoration is destabilizing too. I think
Mhm.
that's why, like, not to make excuses for Kanye, but I feel like a lot of the unhinged things people like Kanye do are explained by the fact that when he does them, there are 3,000 comments that are like, "We'll always support you. Love
Yeah.
you, kid." And you're like, and I really love that Kaluuya said of, is it one of the falls? I can't tell the difference between them. I'm so sorry. Because they're like, "Oh, Nope as a film sucked."
Oh, right.
And
Yeah, I saw that.
yeah, he was like, "Why do we care what he thinks?" And I was like,
There you go. They cracked the code.
like yeah, why do we care? It's like, oh, because they have so many followers that anything they post is always going to get 13,000 likes or 30,000 likes regardless, right? But that doesn't make it like like a proper opinion, especially when your hatred of something is rooted in I didn't get it. It's like,
Yeah.
okay. And I'm not saying, oh, that he's not allowed to have an opinion on Nope. I think he is, but why is that the right opinion just because it has more likes, you know? Sorry.
Yeah. That's
Had to go on that tangent.
it just becomes a numbers game, right? Like anyone's allowed to have an opinion, which is fine, and you can't fault the person for having an opinion. That's life, right? People are allowed to have that. It's just when you get an
Mhm.
audience that is that size, there's always going to be a
Mhm.
portion that size that is very aggressive and combative, and you know, goes on the like what's it called? Goes on like preaching their word, basically, and their word is
Mm,
law, which is the
mhm.
scary
But
part.
we're also like in a weird space where what is a friend? You know, like when I like think of friends, there's friends that you like hang out with and you see all the time. And then there's this friend group that's like, I see them once a year. And then there's this friend group that we've never met. And there's this friend group that like, I'm friends with them because we played again. Like there's levels of friend now that are wide. Before it was like, we're acquaintances or
Yeah.
like, I know that person, that kind of thing. So there's this huge wide variety of it. And then there's also like kind of the weird parasocial friendship thing as well, where when there's celebrity involved, and now as there's more and more micro celebrities, everyone has to wonder like, is this person, are they my friend because they're my friend or because I'm doing something for them, right? And that's a whole other thing. And then navigating that, I think this is very funny. I think at TwitchCon they're doing like a thing this year that's like a panel about parasocial relationships, and they're having streamers talk about it. And I'm like, well, that's fine, but what a weird venue for that to exist at,
Yeah.
because like, what are they gonna, and it's so many layers of just, it's confusing and weird and strange. And I think you're right at its core, Bronze, that there's, for most of history, you had like most adults had one, two, maybe three close friends, maybe. But most people had one friend, and that was it. And like, that's the
Yeah.
person I trust, ride or die.
Yeah.
And now it's
Mhm.
like, you have to not just manage one friend, you're managing hundreds of relationships online, and that's overwhelming. And so you're taking in all this feedback, and then you have, for as many friends, you have all these other people that don't even know you. Today I was watching like, this is a perfect example of just how messed up the internet is. I was watching an opera singer react to a song,
Okay.
and it was a guy. And in the comments, like, third comment was, "Isn't opera for girls?" And I was like, can nothing just be left alone? Can nothing just be chill? I was like, for real, this guy, like, dude took the time to post that. Dude took the time. He knew he was doing it.
Yeah.
Did it just to insult. And I'm like, God damn. I know that people throw things out into the ether as like, ha, it's a zinger. But on our end, and if you just imagine, like, I send one message that's kind of like a dickish message just because I'm feeling like a little bit of a dick. If you're the person on the other end, you see that one message plus many other messages, and that shit adds up. And that affects mental health tremendously. And no one thinks about it because you're only focused on your own micro existence, that you don't see all the buildup over time. And so I understand why Tom is like, yeah, I can't. This isn't for me. And
Yeah.
I feel that.
There was
Absolutely.
I mean, Charlie Cox isn't online, and I was like, it's probably good. Because, like, a lot of times, like, when something gets canceled, like, and I'm sure you, like, both of y'all have dealt with this, like, you have to field so many answers on it, and it's not even, like, your fault, right? Or you can't do anything about it. So, like, there were accounts 3 years after Daredevil was taken off the air that I would see tweeting Deborah Ann Wall and D'Onofrio, and they would be, like, at the Sunday Fair, and under D'Onofrio, every single tweet would be like, "When is Daredevil coming back? When is Daredevil?" And I'm like, "Do you think that he can do anything?" Like,
yeah.
he's an actor. What do you think this man can do? Like, why can he not post about his family? Like, every comment, like, "When is Daredevil coming back? Really miss Wilson Fisk." And I understand it's posted in, like, good good faith or whatever,
Sure.
like, but it doesn't make it better, you know? And I have that on a micro scale where, like, a show I'm on will get canceled or won't be funded or wasn't commercially successful, so it doesn't get another season, and people will sit there and be like, "Bronze, when is this coming back? I really wanna see more of this." And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I can't say anything. I'll probably get sued, but it's like pouring salt in the wound because it's like, "Oh, I liked that project too. I
Yeah.
would have also liked to have kept going with it." That decision is not in my hands, you
Right.
know?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think
it sucks
both me
because
and
it
Jesse
comes from
feel
a
that as
place.
well.
Yeah, I mean, it obviously comes from a place of love. They want the show
Totally.
back. They like, but it's one of those things where the first several times it's like, thank you, but after that you're like, oh my god, what?
Stop.
Just leave me alone, And
Just stop.
it isn't because you hate them for it. It's
Right.
just that is person number 1 million whatever who has asked you the same question, and your soul is just like, what? I've answered this before. What do you want? Like, what do you want from me? And
Yeah.
so, yeah, you have to sometimes just be like, what if I don't look at the internet anymore? Which is,
It's a healthy way to do
that
it.
sucks.
It's hard to
Yeah.
do, but I mean, the whole social media thing is super addicting. So it's hard to just like drop it, but
Oh, it's
Well,
super hard. If I wake up, I try to make a rule to wake up and not have the first thing I look at be my phone. Because if it's the first thing I look at is my phone,
yeah,
that is like a huge waste of time and usually also like a huge Debbie Downer.
yeah,
Because people will take the most extreme circumstances and apply them to your tweet. So if you're like, if you post something really innocuous, like, you know what, I just don't think there's ever a reason to, I don't know, like something you think can never be a bad take.
never
Ever
a reason?
Yeah, I don't think there's ever
There's
a reason
always going to be.
to pressure your viewers into subscribing. You know, if people wanna
yeah,
subscribe, they'll subscribe. And someone will take that and be like, "Well, sorry, I live in a cardboard box and my mother is dying, and if I don't
yeah.
get
They
3
trauma
subs right
dump you
now."
on it. Yeah,
Yeah, and you're like, "Okay, in that case, maybe it's okay to coerce your audience into subbing." I'm talking about in general, you know? And I remember, like, even on stream, I was talking about, well, somebody asked me, they said, "Bronze, how do you stay organized?" And I said, "Well, for me, this is what works. Obviously, I'm not an expert." And there was like 18 comments that were like, "This is just ableist as hell. Like, I have ADHD. This is literally impossible for me." And I was like, "But I said that though. I literally said this is just what
yeah. It's what
works for
works
me."
for me.
I'm not saying
Yeah,
everybody has to do that, but I could post a tweet that's like, because somebody asked me, how do you learn to DM?" And I said, honestly, the very first step, and it's such an easy one to get going, is to read the Dungeon Master's Guide. This was a spicy take, apparently.
oh yeah,
Me saying, because apparently it's pretentious. I basically told them to read the fucking book, and I was like, but that isn't that how you start? Like, you read
oh
the
no,
Dungeon Master's Guide.
yikes. A lot of people
Like,
don't
I
realize.
don't.
Yeah, I don't know.
I didn't know that was a
No
fucking
comment.
spicy take to say, well, just read the guide, and then obviously if you have questions.
Yeah,
But,
I will
like, apparently
simply
this is
say,
just
when I was
rude.
when I taught, all the teachers that were on my floor, we all had a saying we would tell all the students all the time, because much of teaching is roughly the same, where if one student does something, you really shouldn't be calling out that one student, right?
Mhm.
So when you address the room, you're addressing the room. And we'd always say, if the shoe don't fit, you don't have to wear it. And it's the same thing here. Like, if you read something and you're like, well, that doesn't apply specifically to me, we weren't talking specifically to you, bro.
yeah,
It wasn't about you. We
yeah,
were addressing the room. We were letting people know this is the situation. And if it isn't about you, ignore it. It's fine. It's fine to ignore it because it wasn't about you. And that, I think, is the big problem, is everyone on the internet is like, that's about me. Everyone's the main character. Everyone. And you're like, no, bro. We are all side characters to someone else's main. Like, we are not main characters.
it's true.
Please get that clear.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oof.
I mean, but it doesn't help that there's a lot of creators that market parasocial relationships, and so they do address their tweets as though it's to everyone. Like,
yeah,
"Hey,
yeah,
you. Yeah, you. I hope you're having a great day because 'cause you're a good person and you deserve it." And I'm like, "I might be a cannibal. You don't know who's reading this. I might, like, skin puppies," and I'm sitting there skinning a puppy, reading your tweet like, "I am a good person. I do deserve to have a good day." Like, that's such a strange generic tweet to put out. Um, so I can kind of understand how that's, like, encouraged in people. If you read 300 tweets in a day that are all addressed to you specifically, and then you read one that you're naturally gonna apply it to yourself and be like, "Well, this clearly applies to me too."
yep. That's how all that goes.
I hate the idea of you being like, love you, and they're just like,
Oh
Well,
Jesus.
I mean, it could be real. You could have like a Ted Bundy Dahmer situation, and they're reading that like, "Yes, I am a good person, and I do deserve to have a good day. Oh, look, Jesse's going to the grocery store and asked me if I needed anything.
What is this? The
I
I
need
diary?
more." Oh, juice.
I desperately want someone to reproduce a scene where like someone wakes up in a hole and up above is like the Silence of the Lamb guy, but he's like watching a Twitch stream. He's like, it puts the lotion on the skin. He lowers it down, but in the background is just a random Twitch streamer. Like, you're doing great. You're so good.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I don't know why that's in my mind now.
That's a skit. Yeah.
They're my favorite.
That's a skit you got to recreate. Well, on the topic of social media, curious how you guys feel about this. I've never used the Tinder before. I don't know if either of you have, but apparently She-Hulk is on Tinder.
Mm-hmm.
I saw this. This
Yeah.
is stupid.
Stupid. When you match with her, it says, I know what you're thinking. This can't be real. And guess what? It's not. But suspend your disbelief for 1 second and pretend you just matched with She-Hulk. Excited? Find out who she does match with in She-Hulk Attorney at Law, streaming on August 18th on Disney+. Seriously, she goes on dates. If you swipe right on the profile, you get a message in your DMs. That reads, I knew we'd match. There's plenty to love in She-Hulk Attorney at Law. Lawyers, Hulks, cameos, dating, happy hours, yoga, magic, fashion, the list goes on. Now stop reading this, message your match below, and set up a date to watch She-Hulk Attorney at Law August 18th on Disney+.
This, and I mean this.
That's so insane.
Sucks. This sucks so bad. This is like when a bunch of marketing dudes think they've nailed it.
Yeah.
And this is basically, this is from people that have never had a, like this is the, we always have had a date guy.
We don't got to
Like,
worry about
I
it,
feel
guy.
terrible if like you go on a dating site and the first match you get is like an ad. Oh my god.
Have there been ads on Tinder? But like, I've never
I
seen
hope
something
not. I
like
don't
this
use
on Tinder
Tinder, so
where
I
you've
don't
like
know, but-
matched with a.
I know there's a lot of. I've heard from people. There's a lot of fucking fake accounts. Like,
Sure. Well,
that
that's
most
definitely true.
accounts are fake.
Yeah. A lot of catfishing and whatnot, but I've never seen like ads before.
Like,
That's where I'm.
here's the problem with this, is I think this sucks because they're definitely playing into the fact that like in the trailer and stuff, it's She-Hulk's like trying to get some whatever. There's two. I don't know if it's the same ad company or if it's just two different angles, but I think this sucks complete ass. But around LA, on all the bus benches now are ads for She-Hulk Attorney at Law, and that is brilliant because it's an attorney ad on a bus bench. They're like, that's great advertising. That's genius. This whole like Tinder thing, there shouldn't be a Tinder ad anywhere that's like, hey, like if they had an ad that was just like a goof thing, fine. But if it's like, hey, swipe and find out, like, I don't
Swipe to find out more about She-Hulk.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That shouldn't be. It's weird to monetize love in that way. Does that make any sense? Like it seems like, I guess though Tinder, from what I'm aware of, Tinder's more of a hookup app. So what do I know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't. It feels like this was one of those we're gonna try to be boundary breaking for the sake of boundary breaking without thinking about what it is. Does that make any sense?
They wanted to be the first to do it, is what you're saying?
I guess. I don't know. It just seems so I don't want to say cold, but it seems like no one thought about it at all. They thought it was like a funny idea and they ran with it rather than be like, would anyone be upset that like they went on this dating thing to find a match and what they got matched with was an ad? Right? Like it seems like so callous. I don't know. It's weird.
I'm curious what the like from Tinder's POV, what they charged Marvel for the frequency of that to pop up, right? Because like that's got to be the amount that dictates how much money Marvel had to pay. Is the frequency that will show up in someone's algorithm when it comes to swiping, or is it like if they mention certain keywords, like if if they say like, oh, I like superhero films, or oh, I like Marvel, or something like that in their profile, if that is like the keyword that then matches them up. Uh, that's what I'm interested in. We'll never know, right? Like there's no way of actually knowing how that works. But
Yeah, you know what? Who is that? The right Hidalgo in chat said whoever matches should have gotten tickets to the premiere or something. That would have been the smart money. Would have been like if
yeah,
you swiped and you because if it popped up and then you swipe and you match,
and you were She-Hulk's
it
date
should
to
have
the
been
premiere
like,
or something.
yeah, come see, like, take a friend or take whoever you match with to the premiere or to. I think that would have been like a really creative way to do this. Or like we've given you 2 tickets. It's up to you now to bring the guest, like that kind of thing. Which I think would be very cute instead of it being like you matched with She-Hulk.
No, yeah, I
She-Hulk's out
agree.
there
That
trying
would
to
have
get laid.
Yeah, that would have probably been smoother. I My other theory is that the reason they went this direction is because something I've seen online is that like a lot of people don't really know who She-Hulk is, and they
Mm,
just think it's a reskin of the Hulk or a replacement for the Hulk. And so I think they're trying to like seed social media with like, well, she's not like the Hulk and these are all the things. And so like hitting Tinder like does the whole thing that like She-Hulk's kind of horny, maybe. I don't know.
yeah.
But I think they were trying to like but the nature of the advertisement, that's not what it's driving home, if that makes
Mm-mm.
sense. Like
No,
the nature of the
yeah,
advertisement isn't like, oh yeah,
it's just
She-Hulk
like a bad ad. It's
makes a lot of
again,
difference.
they clearly know how to make a good one. Like I was saying, that park bench one is brilliant. That is perfect. It's so good. It has like fake numbers and everything, and like her photo, and she's like kind of half smiling, and it looks awkward, and it's so good. And yeah, this just didn't land, and it's getting roasted as it should be on the internet. So, I mean, but again, this goes back to our first conversation, which is like the internet goes hard when it roasts people. So
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't
Okay.
know.
So I have downloaded Tinder and I've made an account.
Are you just swiping and hoping to get it now?
And no, I'm choosing my interests now. So
Can
I've
I ask you a
chosen,
question?
go ahead.
Is your wife going to have a problem with this?
I need to probably tell her, hey, I have a Tinder account as a goof on MCU crew. So one of the interests when you make an account is Marvel. You can choose Marvel. So I'm gonna go Marvel movies.
Oh yeah, hyper
Uh,
focus it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
what? Fortnite? No, where's like TV?
I'm gonna let
Let's
you
do
know
let's do
if you do
cosplay.
Marvel movies Fortnite, you're gonna match with like 18-year-olds, and that's gonna be a problem for you, my man.
Should we do Twitch? Twitch is on here. That's funny. Disney, and let's do working out. Add photos. Add at least 2 photos to continue.
Oh,
Oh
you should have said
God.
hiking. That's the
I
one.
don't want to add 2 photos now. All right, I'm backing out of this. Fuck this shit. I don't want to do
Yeah,
photos.
you have to do a whole thing. You went
You got to
in.
do it. You got to do a shit ton of
You
stuff.
got to add photos and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, I'm not dead. That's too much.
Get a message like, "Honey, what are you doing right now? Are
Yeah.
you on Tinder?"
All right, I'm deleting that shit. I'm done. I thought I could do it without signing up for photos, but you have to go full in.
You better delete that app immediately.
Oh, it's gone. It's already gone. It's already deleted. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I was just curious how that all works, but we'll never know. She-Hulk's obviously got a lot of news because that launches this week. There's a writer that confirmed that the series will deal with the Sokovia Accords. I don't know in what manner, though. Let's see here. The show will answer the question of whatever happened to the Sokovia Accords. The writer said in a recent chat with the Direct. It'll happen later in the season, but you'll get an answer to what actually happened to the Accords.
Hmm.
I mean, the question is, did they get signed, or what is the question with that? Did they enact them? Because they did enact them, didn't they? Like that was a signed deal in Civil War. So I don't know what the question is around that.
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand.
I guess because maybe the people that didn't want to say what their powers are, they aren't registered or something. I don't know how that works. Yeah, I guess Thanos kind of made everyone forget that the Sokovia Accords happened. That's true.
I mean, I guess that's true, but I don't know.
Oh, someone is suing to not have to be a part of it. Okay, I could see that storyline.
Oh, I think that's pretty interesting.
Yeah. I also wonder, like, who enforces that? Is it that the people that were in Miss Marvel, whatever that group was called? Was that the Department of something or other?
The people that we thought were going to be sword, but turned out to be an entirely different thing.
Yeah, whatever those people are called. Was it? No, it's not Damage Control. Were they called the Department of Damage Control? Was that them?
I thought Damage Control was different.
Damage Control is its own comic, but I guess that's who the DODC. Oh, that's right. That DODC wasn't Miss Marvel, so they will most likely be a force in She-Hulk. And then what was the other thing here? Before I read this headline, let me actually read what this is. Oh, okay. She-Hulk star Tatiana Maslany denounces the strong female lead label. She says, as female leads with comic book projects become more frequent, Maslany hopes that her fellow heroines will be seen as not a big deal. Quote, I'm really interested in when these marginalized voices get to speak without it being like, oh my God, it's all women, or oh my God, this is a story about queer people. And those stories become as innately expected as they are now special. Because it's reductive, it's just as much a shaving off of all the nuances and just as much of a trope. It's a box that nobody fits into. Even the phrase is frustrating. It as if we're supposed to be grateful that we get to be that. I do think there's been this paradigm shift. It takes time. It's about finding new ways to tell stories. What made me go, oh, okay, this feels fresh and surprising is that it feels deeply, and if I can use a binary term, feminine. Maslany continued. There's a girliness to it. That word is often used as a derisive term. I've never heard that phrase before. But to me, there's a celebration of female friendship in She-Hulk that's really fun. So there you go. That was a full quote. What is derisive? I've heard divisive. Is this the opposite? Derisive is
Like,
expressing contempt or ridicule. Okay.
Mm.
Cool. I think that's a cool. Good for her. I think she's right about that. I hope she continues to push that more.
that was the most, how do I describe it? The most, like,
Don't
I'm
cancel
happy
anything.
for you, sorry, I guess. You know that meme? Like,
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't read that, but I'm happy for you, or sorry, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, she is right though. Like that's going to be the general term or the general phrase about this on social media is, oh, this is another like all female thing for Marvel. I'm not going to watch that type deal. Or, oh, this is going to be another, like, it's a queer character. I'm not going to watch that type deal. That's going to be like a major storyline for social media, I think, going into this, which, it sucks. And so hopefully this can help change that whole notion. But that's a monumental task, I think,
Hmm.
that will take years of kind of chipping away at that for it to
I
actually
mean,
occur.
even Sandman is dealing with that, and a lot of this stuff was in the comic.
Yeah.
So, like, they're like, ugh, like there's no straight relationships in this, and I was like, that's how it was in the comic.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Like, it's really weird, like, because it's not a new comic, and people are acting like this is new. Like, they're like, "Oh, they're just wokeifying it," and I'm like, "But
I
that's
hate that term.
how it was in the comic." So I don't know what to
I
tell
think
you. Like, you're kinda snitching on yourself that you didn't fucking read it.
Yeah, I think you'll find that most comic fans or comic book movie fans rarely read comics.
Sure.
And
Like
it's
they're
okay to watch the movies and not read the comics, but the reason I bring it up in this case is they're acting like it's new. They're acting like
right,
this is
That
a
they
right.
new
changed it because of the state. Yeah.
yes. Like, whereas She-Hulk is not a new character. So this is not a part of Disney's new agenda because She-Hulk has been around for a minute, you
Yeah.
Disney's
know?
new agenda.
That
That shit's
that's the part
hilarious.
that You've seen those videos though, haven't you, Jesse? There's a lot that are like, "This is just another part of Disney
Oh,
brainwashing,
absolutely.
grooming children," and you're like, "But this is old. Like, this can't be part of a new agenda because the source material is old."
Oh my God. I haven't seen, is that a real thing? Someone on my chest says it's the MCU. That's like
Yeah,
the
they say
popular
that.
phrase now.
They say that.
Look,
It's one that threw me was, like, Gina Carano's character was hated by so many people, and those same people heel turned the second she came out being anti-vax and all that, and they were like, "How dare they fire her?" And but those same people, if you go back and look, and they're like, "Oh, great, Disney pushing their agenda again, yet another Mary Sue in The Mandalorian." And I was like, but now they love her, and I was just like, "That's crazy." Like,
that's because
y'all
everything's
motherfuckers
it's team
hated
based.
her.
Yeah.
Everything is team based now. It's like if you're on our team, we love you, and if you're not, we hate you. That's it. It's as simple as that, and it's so messed up.
Yeah. That's true. That is true. You guys want to see what Kingpin looks like on the set of Echo?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Let me pull up the
Is
photo.
he a big bulky boy?
Yes.
Please tell me he's not in the Hawaiian shirt anymore.
No. He
They
is
put him
not
back
wearing
in his
that.
original outfit.
It looks like that, yeah. Sorry, I'm doing this without having to move my back, so I have too many monitors. This is literally me having to pan in like 200 degrees to the right. Can you just open up?
Hawaiian pants.
No, he's in full
No
thing.
Hawaiian shirt.
This is gonna be on Instagram. I'm just scanning the comments to make sure there's nothing. Okay, good. Let's see what this looks like.
Show us the man.
Oh, now I gotta do this.
Stay.
I gotta do all this shit, Jesse.
I'm gonna stare at this.
There it is.
Whoa.
He's kind of in the
For
background.
6 episodes. Yo, my boy back in action. I'm ready for
Yeah.
it. Sign
It
me
looks
up.
like they put makeup on his head.
Yeah,
Vanessa.
and they did. He looks a little pale, but
Yeah.
no. I like the Joy Division shirt there.
Vanessa. Are we gonna have Vanessa? I
I
like
I hope
anytime he says
so.
anyone's
What if he
name.
just says Echo in that voice?
He's not gonna call her Echo.
What is her?
What was her name? I thought it was Christine, but that's not her name. What is her name? What is her kid's name?
I can
Oh
look
my
real
god.
quick.
What is that?
Who
Maya.
is-
Maya?
Oh yeah, it's Maya. It's Maya.
Maya.
Where did Christine go? I guess I just wanted to say the name Christine. Yeah, Vanessa and Maya. Maya, you are my daughter. I love this man. I love him. I love the more Vincent D'Onofrio can move Kingpin towards the alien from Men in Black, the better this will be. Sugar. I need a friend. Sugar. If we can get there, I'm so excited. I love this man. So I'm hyped for this. This is gonna be so good.
Do you think all this is going to lead? Like that's what they're doing, right? This is all going to lead to Daredevil as a show.
Well, so I guess what ended up happening is people were concerned. I don't know if they were concerned. I think a lot of people were hyped that it was going to be a Daredevil show. And people were, and I think we even talked about this last week, is people were like, well, what the hell is the Echo show's going to be? So apparently, I think it was the actress, or maybe it was someone repping the actress. Basically, they said, it is a show about Echo. It is a show about Maya. Daredevil is like a cameo, but Kingpin is fully in the show because it is about the family.
Because his relationship to Maya.
Yeah, so it's a Kingpin Maya show, and then Daredevil is a cameo because of Kingpin being in it, which is like, all right, great, here for it. Like I love Daredevil, but I really want to see them actually not ruin Kingpin, please and thank you. So let's try this again. Let's rewind. Give it another go. Let's have some fun with Kingpin, please. Thank you. If you're gonna make him a villain, like the arch villain of the street level Marvel stuff from now on, let's have some fun and not be like he got shot in the face and stabbed with an arrow or shot with an arrow and he's
So-
still like, I'm good.
What if?
It's all good.
Here's a terrible what if. I'm just throwing ideas out there. What if the reason that
Don't say
Kingpin
terrible.
could take all the damage that he did in Hawkeye and he does get shot at the end of Hawkeye or whatever because he's a Skrull. And that's like revealed to Echo. That's part of the plot or something. Is that terrible?
It is
He's a
terrible.
Skrull and explain why he tanked all that shit.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Right.
saying.
Yeah, it's terrible, but it's fascinating. It's like the kind of terrible I would watch. I would say
Same.
it was terrible the entire time, but I'd be like, I got to see where this
I'd
goes. I
be
got to
like,
see where
"That's
they lead.
stupid. That's so stupid. It's so stupid." Next episode. That's so stupid. That would be
Yeah.
Like,
dumb.
this is the worst thing. Oh, okay. 5 hours later. Like,
Yeah.
wow. That was so stupid. I loved it.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know. That would be enough to like actually, I guess the same way you guys were just describing, that would make me excited to watch the show because it actually makes the idea of an Echo standalone show exciting because there's something else going on besides Echo as a character. Because
Yeah, again, it comes down to what the story is.
Yeah.
If it is a story and it's about, we already got the backstory of Echo, so we have that. I don't know what this show is unless it's like Echo trying to find herself out in the world. Like, I don't, even that seems boring to me. It's true. Like, they didn't do a great job of making her character one I want to see more of, and it isn't her fault. It's the fact that Hawkeye had so many converging plot lines, and then they were just like, and throw in the most charismatic new character of the MCU, and have you care about anything. Like, how? When Yelena shows up, I no longer care about anything else happening. She steals every scene she's in. She is so much more entertaining than everyone else. It's like, it's not my fault. You're the one who put her in the show. So, yeah, it's tough.
There's a couple more shots from chat.
Man, oh God, dude, he looks bulky as shit. I'm here.
It looks
for
like
it.
Kingpin. Yeah, I mean, it looks like the comic accurate Kingpin. Not that he didn't before, but now it's even more so, I think.
Yeah, now it looks like he has that bulk. Where before he looked like a big dude, but now he looks like he's got like shoulder strength. Like, he looks like he's like all like neck muscle. I'm here for it. I love that. The thing I'm not here for is the fact that like I can see his boxers through his white pants, but like they'll fix that in post.
Oh, right here?
Yeah.
Or
those are pockets, whatever it is.
I think that's just the crease, yeah.
Honestly,
no, you can totally
a
see
lot
that.
of-
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, a lot of costumes look so stupid in real life, I have to be honest. Like, a lot of it really is. Like, lighting is a big one in post.
Yeah.
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 Lighting being, like, the huge one.
It's so silly. When you look at it, it's like, obviously, it looks like it has to be pocket or boxers, whatever it is. It looks, yeah, you're totally right. Without lighting, if you see most costumes, you're like, that's trash. Although I will say, shout out to the special effects team for Prey. I saw the real life camera footage of the Predator. Yo, that is some dope ass practical. I love when they nail it. So it can be done.
They still use the CG, funny enough, but yeah.
So, like, I live near the Mopop, and
what's the Mopop?
It's the Museum of Pop Culture.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so, like, they regularly do costume exhibits, and those are my favorite ones to go to. So I've seen a lot of the Star Wars stuff, a lot of the Labyrinth, like, Lord of the Rings, a lot of it I've seen in person up close.
Oh, that's sick.
Star Wars is probably, to be quite honest, the worst in terms of, like, in, like, the original trilogy. I haven't seen the new stuff. It is, like, very simple. Like, it's like, this is a panel with some buttons on it that's been spray painted. And when you go back and look at it, it's like, oh yeah, it's just like you see it for a half a second. Like, so it doesn't really matter that it's like it has no detail on it because the stormtroopers are always moving and walking, and or that droid is like moving and walking and is in the movie for like half a second. So even though when you're looking at it closely, you're like, this looks very stupid. In the movies, they look fine. And then the other thing I noticed was like when you looking at the puppets for the xenomorphs because I went to their horror exhibit, those look dope as hell. Like,
Oh
those
yeah.
actually yeah. Like, and now the animation for those, or I should say the movement for those, especially Alien, not Aliens, is actually really funny because they do kinda, like, move
Glide.
like that, but the the puppets where they used puppets are actually, like they built them out and made them look insane. And the only thing I noticed that's different when you're looking at it under bright lights is that the skulls are a lot more transparent than they are in the movies. I would hazard to say they're actually scarier looking because you can see, like, the top of the xenomorph's head almost looks like a membrane, and you can kinda see everything underneath, but in the movies, it looks like matte black because it's not under this, like, bright fluorescent light.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Mm.
I didn't know they I know they've done a bunch of like Marvel outfits at those
Yes,
yeah,
and that's
across the
where I was
country.
like, "These
That's
costumes
what
are
I wanted to go
actually
see.
impressive." They're cool, but they don't actually I've seen cosplayers that look fancier than, like, the
Yeah.
Black Panther
Well,
do. I was,
Well,
like,
that's because
really surprised.
yeah. Is there something to like having seen them yourself, is seeing something on like a mannequin less interesting than seeing it on a person? Like, does the mannequin actually take away from the costume? You know
I
what I'm
will agree
asking?
that the mannequin does take away because it's not properly fitted, but I
Yeah.
think it was, like, what was it? PAX 2019, they did the partner party at the Mopop, and it was at the Marvel
Oh,
exhibit. Yeah, which was super cool. I feel like I hung out with Aaron there actually, JP. I think that might
she
have
was
been the
probably
first time
there. Yeah. Yeah.
Aaron in person, yeah. So they did it at the Marvel exhibit, which was super cool. The props look really nice. Like if you see like any small prop, like the Infinity Stones and stuff like that look really cool. But then like the costumes, I think they do a lot in post and on Marvel stuff because they look really flat
Mm.
in person. Whereas like cosplayers go in and make them look, they give them a lot of texture, the costumes for that. I think the most ridiculous costumes I've seen are Lord of the Rings. Those are like you could take this off the mannequin and put it on a person and they would look like Aragorn. Like their costumes are insane.
Yeah.
But if you watch those like behind the scene things, you know for a fact, like everyone in Lord of the Rings was like, "We are going to do everything we can to bring this vision to accuracy in life," and it, like you can, and all you need to know is just by watching Lord of the Rings and then watching the Hobbit trilogy, you can tell the level of like
Yeah.
love between the two, and that's for all movies. Like when I here in LA, anytime you go to like an arc light, even though they're almost all gone now, they always have costumes from all the different movies. And so Multiverse of Madness, they had all the costumes from that. And looking at them, like they were whatever. And it's really weird because you think like, oh, that would look really cool. I want to see Doctor Strange's outfit. When you see it, you're like,
Eh.
it's all right.
Yeah, I think with Marvel, the biggest thing is and this is just based off of watching behind the scenes stuff for Stranger Things. They probably need like 40 of them.
Yeah.
Oh, because of the wear and tear or
The
the
wear
different
and
shots
tear,
and yeah.
they need a clean one, they need a dirty one, they need one for the stunt double, they need one for the, like, action double, like, they need so many of them, and then because the actors are on set for, like, literally years at a time, they need, like, a bunch for the actor because they're gonna get them dirty and they need to be laundered and stuff like that, so, like,
Yeah.
'cause you can't have them wearing the same nasty old suit for, like, that long. So, like, they probably need, like, 30 of them. So they probably have, like, the close-up one, and then they probably have the wide shot one, and I'm sure the one they put in the arc light is, like, the wide shot
Wasn't the
one with
good, yeah, absolutely, it's not.
yeah.
And what's crazy is watching all the behind the scenes stuff, you can see that most of the costumes aren't even, like, full ass because they all, I guess, apparently it's a thing, they all have the fake torso bit. So every Marvel superhero, and now that I know, I see it all the time, and it blows my mind, but every Marvel superhero has a chest piece that they wear, like, a shirt thing under it,
Yeah.
and then they have a chest piece put over it that they can easily take off and remove in between shots because the chest piece is like a whole different thing. And so
Huh.
everything's layers and bits and pieces, and it never is going to be a complete costume because it's not designed to be a complete costume. It's designed for people to move around in and like emote and to look like a costume on camera, but it's not real. And so Yeah, it's certainly interesting the more you learn about how it's all gets done. But then again, going back to Star Wars, like you were saying, the more you know how it was done, the more you're like, that's a toaster, that's an ice cream machine,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
an upside
Yeah,
down
yeah.
printer. And you like see exactly what they used to make it. And you're like, oh, all right,
Oh,
movie
the
magic.
signal tubes in the pockets are just, chalk holders. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's actually really cool. But when you remove things from context, they do look very interesting, right? Like, if you remove a power glove from context and then take the panel out of it and glue it to a chess piece
yeah.
and spray paint it white, maybe it looks cool.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah, I would love to see all that. I think they have one of those in St. Louis, or maybe it was in Chicago where they were touring um,
Mhm.
for the Museum of Pop Art stuff. I'd love to go and see all that stuff in person. It's got to be really, really cool to see just like an Infinity Stone or a Cosmic Cube or any of the like weapons. I think would actually be cooler than the outfits themselves. See like what the
What
movie hammer looks like. That's probably badass.
what's fascinating is the gauntlets you have behind you
Yeah.
are probably in higher detail
Oh, that
than the
well, that
ones
one's
from the
like a
actual
movie
film.
replica. So this is
That's
exactly
but
what
that
they used.
but
Yeah.
I'm saying that replica is probably better looking than the one they used in the movie.
Maybe. Yeah. Possibly. Because that one's even got like on the inside of that gauntlet, it's got a place where you grab the actual gauntlet. You can like grip onto it. So it's what they used apparently in the movies.
Although by the end of Endgame, most of those gauntlets were CG anyway, so they probably weren't real to begin with. So never
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah. They probably had like one or two scenes where it was all practical and the rest was all
Yeah.
CG'd. So
Same like that guy was saying, same thing with costumes. I'm sure they have that version that's, like, super detailed for Doctor Strange, right, Jesse? But it's, like, their close-up
yeah,
one.
like the cloak or something.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I'm sure they're not gonna put that in the arc light.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, if you look at the if you just look at Doctor Strange outfit, is there so much intricate patterns and stuff going on? It isn't just like a blue thing, and
Mhm.
it was very obvious what we got at the arc light was like just a blue thing, and
Just a blue
so it's
thing, yeah.
very yeah, it was probably a faraway shot or an extra or not an extra, his like a stunt double wore it, and so it was for like probably an important scene, but a scene that we saw 1 second of when he was like jumping or doing a thing. And so to us, it didn't matter. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. You're totally right.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have all the money, though, it makes, people act better. Like, I know Sean Bean was saying that, like, walking around in his, Boromir outfit that, like, there's embroidery on the inside of it, and he's like, "No one's ever going to see this, but it being there makes me feel kingly." I was yeah, like, it would change your, like,
Oh, totally.
bearing, like, because it's like, "Oh, I'm a son of Gondor," like, but, like, no one's ever gonna see the embroidery on the inside of
Yeah,
a
totally.
cloak, like, there's
I know.
never gonna see it.
I know this is totally, totally out of left field, but I need to. Every time someone
Let's
brings
hear it.
this up, I have to say this.
Let's hear it.
Sean Bean in that movie. I guess the scene where he's like, "No, you can't walk into Mordor," or whatever that line is. Like no one walks.
Where they're
That
sitting around the
scene, I get.
fellowship and
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
city.
That fellowship scene, I guess, was rewritten the night before, and so he didn't have time to memorize his lines, so it was taped to his leg, and so that entire scene where he's like this, most of the time, it's him reading the lines off his leg. I think
But
about that
has
all the
the
time now.
cool effect, though.
That's
Like,
great.
I feel
Yeah,
like
it
it
looks like
added
he's stressed. Like
something
it's
to it.
very good acting. It's just
Yeah.
hilarious to me that now that I know that entire scene for me is like,
That's awesome.
what is my line? It's so good. It's still a fantastic scene. And I think about that anytime anyone mentions Sean Bean, they're like, yeah, Boromir. I'm like, first off, love Boromir. Second off, did you know? I always it's like I'm that asshole who like every time someone mentions the kicking the head and breaking his leg or foot, whatever that is.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when Vigo breaks his foot, same thing. I
Yeah.
did the same thing with Sean Bean. I'm like, did you know? So
I love that
there you go.
everyone has that, though. Everyone has, like, a weird story from the behind the scenes of Lord of the Rings. My favorite one that I'm sure everyone has heard 3,000 times is, when they were shooting the scene at the top of Orthanc, and Grima Wormtongue stabs Saruman in the back, and they're coaching him on what sound to make. Christopher
Oh
Lee
yeah.
said,
Yeah.
that's not the sound a man makes when you stab him in the back. And they were like,
Yeah.
okay. And he's like, do you want that sound? Because I can make that sound. And I was like,
Because Christopher Lee was a fucking badass, man. He killed,
Yeah, he was.
he murdered a
Hell yeah.
shit ton of
Guys,
Nazis, man.
Christopher Lee has killed people. He's fucking murdered some Nazis. He stabbed them in
Yeah.
the back. We were playing
That's
Wolfenstein, and he was living Wolfenstein.
Yeah, man. There's some wild stories about Christopher Lee out there.
I've heard that like he could put anything into a wall. Like almost like bullseye style. Like if you handed him a paperclip, he would throw it and it would like get embedded in the wall.
Oh God.
I don't know if that's real, but somebody was saying like on set, they're like, yeah, you give him a pencil, he's got like this laser precision, and you tell him hit that, he will like hit it. And
Yeah,
half the
I
time he'll,
believe
like,
it.
get
I mean,
the wall. And I'm like,
the entire
how many men
James Bond
believe
character
that?
was made because of Christopher Lee. Like that's where the idea came from. was the person that is Christopher Lee. It's wild to consider, but yeah,
Man, what a
Yeah.
badass.
he's a fucking badass, dude. He's an absolute badass. Yeah, and even in Lord of the Rings, he kills it, man. He's fantastic in that.
Look, again, that movie is 21 years old and still feels like it was made. I still think it was made in 2010. I'm still convinced. I keep convincing myself it's not that old.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Phenomenal
We're
film.
doing. They added it to Amazon, so I'm gonna do like a full trilogy, both trilogies.
Oh, you can
marathon.
do a watch party of that now?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
If you want to join us, we're watching all three of them later this month, Jesse.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you guys are both invited. We're gonna do the first 3 Hobbit films on a Friday, and then the
Let me know
original
when you get to
trilogy
Lord of
on
the
a
Rings. I'm
Saturday.
all right. I'm all right with the Hobbit.
It's on 26th. It's the extended edition, so it's
Extended edition of
9.
The Hobbit, I'm more than all right. It's fine.
I think it's
Yeah,
9
the
and a half
fun.
hours on the 27th.
But do you want to miss the part where old boy comes out on the battle board and is like, "Oi, I'm about
Yes.
to be very Scottish."
Yes,
You
I do
know?
want to miss that because
I've
for
only
some
seen
reason
those
he's
films
CG when
once.
none of the other dwarves are. Why is he CG? None of the other dwarves are. I'm all right.
I've never.
Yeah.
I've only watched the original or the second trilogy once, so I'm curious to see the second dive in how it goes. That first film's fine, I think, still. But the
First
second
film's
one's
fine. Fine is the correct word. First
Yeah.
film's fine. After that, off the rails.
We'll see how it goes.
I'm all right.
No, I
We'll see how it
agree.
goes. I'm excited for that though, because it's been a while since I've watched them.
Heard
Speaking
of
of,
what the movies could have been.
it's true. Speaking of excited, I'm curious how where are you guys at in the She-Hulk excitement? It comes out on Thursday. Are you expecting more like I don't know. How do you guys feel about it? I don't know where I'm at. I love more Marvel stuff. I'm not a She-Hulk fan going into this because I've never read the books. I love Tatiana Maslany. I think she's an incredible actress, so I'm hoping she kills it. I just don't know how it's going to be.
I have zero expectations. I'm trying to set them very low.
Yeah.
Because I went into Miss Marvel knowing nothing, and I was very happy for like a little bit, and then that show went off the rails. And so for this, I know what I'm supposed to be expecting. I know that I'm expecting like some wacky fourth wall breaks and like some funny goofs, and I expect it to be more of a comedy than a actiony show. I know what I'm expecting, but I also know that every time I've had expectations, Marvel has not delivered on those. Not like good, bad, just like what I thought it was going to be. It's
Yeah.
never been that ever.
Okay.
They've never. The only thing they've ever done where it was what I thought it was going to be was when they said we're going to do Thanos, and in my mind it was like, all right, well, as a kid I read Thanos, and Thanos kills half of everyone. So if they don't do a storyline where Thanos kills half of everyone, and then they did. And it was like, oh, okay, that was my expectation met. Every other time, it is they've always done something different, and so I don't have a clue what to expect here, and we'll see if that's good or bad. I don't know.
Yeah. Bronze, I think you're probably closest to the source material per usual.
Yeah, I'm a big She-Hulk fan too. Like,
Okay,
I've
so
got
you're entering into
upset
this as a big fan.
background. Yeah, I'm a huge fan. Where am I on the excitement scale?
Like it let me I'll set up If they do a 1-to-1 of the comic,
Uh,
is that what you want? Or do you want an original take on it with the comic being a guide?
I think if they did follow the comic more closely, especially like the Sewell run, then I think it would hit that scratch for me of or hit that itch, scratch that itch, that's the word,
Yeah.
of not being as formulaic as a lot of the other Marvel properties have been, because then it would be a courtroom drama.
Right.
And like I said, if they did the Lincoln Lawyer with superheroes, that would be the dream show, because right now they kinda all fall into the same thing. And that was my big disconnect with Miss Marvel, was going the route of all these other shows where I'm like, "I thought this was gonna be like a teen drama," you know? And now it's kinda like Scott Pilgrim style, and now it's turned into just what every other show is. And so I really hope this doesn't go down that path, like, that's my hope. But based off of the trailers, we don't see a lot of her case prep and a lot of her what we see a lot of is the training to be a superhero bit. So I just don't know how it's gonna go. But I think that's what I loved about Daredevil too, was that aspect of it, of like his, like in another world, people probably wouldn't care about Foggy and Karen Page, but in the Daredevil show, we kinda did, because they hold down the fort. They're the ones that are
Mhm.
helping, you know, Miss Smith keep her apartment and bring legal action against her tenant or her landlord and stuff like that. So, like, I don't know, those, like, undercurrent stories underneath the superhero stories, that's what I like.
Yeah.
So, I don't think we're gonna get that. So my expectations are very mellowed out. I'm not going in like I'm gonna hate this, but I'm not going in like I'm gonna love it either. And the hope is maybe that'll set me up for success.
Yeah. Is the in the comics, what is the like formula for the comics? Is it she goes and catches the bad guy and then it goes into a courtroom drama about the bad guy? Or like what is that
It
the
kind of depends.
okay.
Yeah, it kinda depends. Hellcat is a big part of the run I'm talking about, because that was my favorite run, but sometimes it'll be, like legal action being brought against B-list villains that maybe deserve a shot. Like, so I'm hoping that's
Okay.
what Frogman's involvement is like Frogman being blamed for the machinations of a much bigger villain, and she's got to clear Frogman. Or maybe Frogman has a very set, like, what do I call it? Like a very heartbreaking backstory, and that's being ignored here. Or, because one of the cool themes that they explore is that, like, um sometimes bigger villains are never held to account for what they make or coerce smaller villains to do, and so that's, like, sometimes where she gets involved, and she also
Mhm.
does, like, a lot of witness protection and evidence gathering at night, like, with her partner, Hellcat. One of the most interesting parts of the comic book, there's 2 cases that I remember really well. One was she was the only one brave enough, and that's the big thing about She-Hulk, is she takes on cases other lawyers would be like, "No, I'll die."
Oh,
She was
because
the only
it's a
one brave
superhero?
enough, yeah, to take a case from Doctor Doom's son
Got it.
against Doctor Doom. Yeah, so
Mm.
that's like a big plot, but, like, no one else is like, "Oh, hell no, I'm not gonna serve him emancipation papers or whatever," but, like, She-Hulk is like, "I'll take your case, I'm not afraid of Doctor Doom." So and then another case she does is, like, a case against or versus, like, opposite of, Daredevil, involving an elderly Captain America whose name is being dragged through the mud,
Yeah.
um, and being accused of doing something heinous when he was younger. So, like, that's a lot of it too, is like, yeah. So I think it's cases that only she could do. Like a normal lawyer would be like,
I
"I'm
think
not I'm not dying for this," you know?
I think that'd be badass if there's a case where it's She-Hulk versus Daredevil in the courtroom. Like that'd be
Mhm.
I'm
fucking sick.
hoping that's what he's there for. I'm hoping that's what he's there
I
for,
would love that.
and then they meet in the courtroom as, like, lawyers, and then at night, when they're, like, trying to go on a fact-finding mission, they run into each other as superheroes. Like,
That'd
I
be
think that would
cool.
be
Yeah. I that's probably the thing that I would be most excited for, or I am most excited for, is the idea of this being like grounded in a sense of it doesn't have to do with like saving the world, right? Like, it's just about, is this person guilty or not in a courtroom? Like, that's much more interesting to me at this point in the MCU of like, oh, if Abomination gets out of jail, he's going to destroy the world. No, he's just going to go, I don't know, steal something, right? Like, there's not going to be, the threat is not that level.
Do you think
that's what
you
I
think
would,
that's
I
like
hope.
why Wong is present in this? Because it's kind of like Wong can vouch for Abomination, be like, hey, look,
He's definitely friendly with him, and he's
That's what
definitely
I'm
like
saying.
yeah, I don't, the other thing is like, if this takes place pre Shang-Chi, then maybe the reason that, like, what happens with Abomination and Wong is that, like, the judge releases Abomination into Wong's care as like a rehabilitation thing.
Yeah,
Like, that would be awesome.
Oh,
But I don't know, like,
Mhm.
time-wise, I don't know if anyone said when this will take place.
I feel like no matter what this, I mean, at least for Abomination, I think we've said this before. It's clearly leading to Thunderbolts. So like,
Yeah, oh yeah, where he's just gonna get disappeared or something like that.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay, apparently the showrunner said this is after Shang-Chi, so won't be getting that at least.
I can't wait till they mention the giant guy in the ocean. Then that should be cool.
Yeah,
But like,
yeah.
it'd be interesting to see because like a lot of these things are very nuanced, right? But like in Marvel, we almost never get into the nuance of a lot of stuff. So it'd almost be interesting to like see that, like because when a villain is apprehended and sent to the raft, like who determines how long they're sentenced for? They're not all going there for life. You know what I mean? Like some of their crimes aren't
Mm.
that heinous.
Yeah.
So I love the idea of like She-Hulk in the MCU at least being the person that's like maybe on defense for them. And we joke about it, but there's no way in hell like the Avengers haven't been sued. Like we see them in every single freaking show throwing cars that don't belong to them,
Yeah.
like sending villains through office buildings. They probably get sued all the time. Once again, I love the idea of She-Hulk being who they go to be like, so I threw a car at Green Goblin and I'm being sued and I have to, because like who else is Peter Parker gonna go to? Like I am assuming She-Hulk would be the person that has his best interests at heart
Yeah.
and will protect his identity. Because that's the other part of it is like, who can you trust to not, like reveal your identity or ruin your life?
Mm.
I don't know. Not talking with you guys, I'm actually excited for it. Because this may be a bad setup. Maybe we've gotten ideas of what this show could
That's
be.
what I'm saying.
And it's not going
We
to be
come
any
out-
of that. Fuck.
We come
Fuck
out
both
swinging
of
with
you.
like, and then there's this thing could
This
happen, and this thing could
sucks.
happen, and
I
this thing,
hate you
and then
both.
Marvel never does it. JP, every time Bronze comes on this damn show and it's like, let me tell you about all these amazing things that happen in the comics. This was amazing, and this was amazing, and then we get all fucking excited, all worked up, and then Marvel every time is like, no,
Oh,
every time,
it's
every
true.
time, every
It's true.
single time. Bronze is like, let me tell you this amazing thing. And it's never right because it's amazing. And then the MCU has never once been like, we're going to shoot for amazing. No, they're like, we're going to shoot for the exact same plot. If this show ends with 3 episodes of like some world ending calamity, I would not be surprised. If for some reason she gets caught up in like, if I don't fight back, then the world's going to end. It's up to me.
You guys
I'm
want
going to be like, oh, of course it is.
I'm interested in seeing the interplay with Hulk because, like, I will say this canonically, what has always set She Hulk apart from the Hulk is he is stronger when he's hulked out than she is, like, much stronger. But she's been trained by Captain America. And I think Gamora, depending on the iteration or depending on the
Yeah.
run. So, like, she actually knows how to fight, whereas Hulk is like, smash,
Yeah.
So
I've
even when you play them in Marvel vs. Capcom, they have like she fights more like a wrestler,
yeah.
which I really
Yeah.
liked about her. And I feel like they're gonna have to take that out because there's no reason for Gamora
Right.
or Captain America to train her. So I understand why the changes were made before anybody crawls up my ass and they're like, well, how would they do that? But I am interested in seeing how like Professor Hulk and her, like, how that's gonna change, what's gonna differentiate them in terms of the MCU since, like, he's the one who's kind of training her.
So a viewer sent me the episode titles if you guys want to know them.
I would love to know them.
There's 9 episodes. I'm going to put up spoiler tags because some of these names you can kind of get a sense of where the show is going. Episode 1 is entitled "Whose Show Is This?" So I think we're going to get a lot of guests, and probably
That's very
Hulk's going to
cute.
be
I think
there.
that's fun. Yeah.
Episode 2 is The Retreat. So that's probably the Hulk training arc on the island that we've seen in the previews. Episode 3 is The People versus Emil Blonsky. So that's Abomination in episode 3, right out of the gate. Episode 4 is called Superhuman Law. So I don't know what that is.
That's what they're probably going to start, like, when she takes the case, they're probably going to start advertising her as, like, I can defend any superhuman, like that kind of thing. That'll be fun for, like, goofs for sure.
Yeah. Episode 5 is named Ribbit and Rip It. So Frogman. Yeah. Episode 6 is Mean Green and Straight Poured Into These Jeans. I don't know.
That's the dating episode.
Okay, that's the dating episode. Sure. Episode 7 is called Just Jen. That's when she starts to have doubts about being She-Hulk, probably. Episode 8 is This Not Real Magic? That's probably when Wong shows up towards the end of the show.
Sure.
And then episode 9 is entitled A Normal Amount of Rage.
Okay. I mean, at least from title wise, I can very clearly see kind of like the notes of this. Like, I would imagine that if the episode about dating is before the episodes about like being myself, I think it's very obvious that at some point a character who's this big giant green person is going to question, are these people only interested in me because I'm a big giant green mommy and not the real me, which is like this normal human being, like that kind of thing, which I think leads into an episode about self-reflection, which is like, I'm all right with that as a tone. So that could be interesting.
The two of you have never seen Tatiana Maslany act, right? You've never seen anything she's been in? Okay.
Nope, not me.
Yeah, I haven't watched Orphan Black.
I hope that you guys come away from the first episode and you're like, wow, she's an incredible actress. I hope the show actually allows her to like show her acting chops. Because she is Orphan Black. I mean, she plays like 9 characters in that show, and they're all completely different from one another. And it's like they're talking to one another at the same time. She basically is like in almost every scene of that show as a character. And they're all different. It's fucking incredible to watch. That's
cool.
So I have no worries that like she can't act. I just hope that Marvel allows her to act in this, if that makes sense. Because it all comes down to the writing, right? It all comes down to the script and if it's directed well and all that stuff. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, I think that's it. Unless there's anything else. Bronze, did you have any other takes on the episode names? Okay. I think that's that. We'll discuss it next Monday. They come out Thursday this time around instead of Wednesdays.
So it would be Wednesday at midnight. Wednesday night, midnight.
Yes. Wednesday night, midnight PST, 3 p.m. Eastern. Thursday morning. Or 3 a.m. Eastern. Thursday morning.
Why is it on Thursday now?
I don't know. I think they're just trying new days out. Maybe like leading into the weekend to try to get numbers up or something. Star Wars was Anakin was
Star Wars was still Wednesday. Yeah.
Obi-Wan, sorry, that was Wednesdays, right? Okay. What about is Andor Wednesday?
I don't know. That I'm looking forward to. Oh boy.
That looks fucking sick.
I'll be quiet about that.
It does. Look
hey, I sent you a link. I don't know if anyone cares about this. I'm not even sure I care.
It to me at? Oh,
but
okay.
Just through the call.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone cares, but we have information now about the movie no one cares about.
Oh, okay. We knew a couple of these. Let me pull this up.
We now have the full Madame Webb cast.
Madame Webb, of course, is the Sony run Spider-Verse show. Jesse's laughing.
Oh my god. Yeah, we have a full cast. Not if anything, it lets me kind of know what the vibe of this thing is because we have Madame Webb, and then the very first character under Madame Webb is a character who eventually becomes Madame Webb.
Oh,
So I have
Sydney
to
Sweeney
imagine.
does? Or
Yeah.
Julia Carpenter becomes Madame Web?
At some point, because she, God, I don't remember what name she goes under, but it doesn't matter. At some point in the future, she becomes Madame Web. So I wonder if this is like a old Madame Web leading, like it's a Dakota Johnson leading into a Sydney Sweeney Madame Web situation. I don't know. Feels like that could be it. And then all the 8 trillion other spider people that are in this. Arachne is in this at some point. Spider Girl, as you can see on the screen right there, is in it. I read a lot of Spider-Man as a kid, so I know all the weird Spider-Man
Adam
people.
Scott is playing what?
You know what's even crazier? Scroll down. It isn't May Parker, it's Mary Parker. It's his mom. It's Peter's mom. So I don't know what the hell that means. So this could be all over the place. I don't know, dude.
I mean,
don't know.
I actually am a huge Adam Scott fan, but
I like Adam Scott.
what the
too.
fuck is he playing? That man.
I don't know what Ben Parker has to do with this. I don't know what the story's going to be.
Let me ask you a question. As if you take a role as an actor for one of these films, are you immediately never going to get a proper Marvel role?
It's hard, right?
Like, do
we
you
don't
fuck
always
yourself?
have the Andrew Garfield story. We don't always have that. It doesn't really happen, but with the numbers involved, and I love Adam Scott. I've loved him since I think the first thing I saw him on was Parks and Rec. He's great on Severance. Like, he's a great actor. But I'm not going to sit here and say he's in like every single film ever. I think like if they were like, listen, you could get $3 million now or potentially 30 million in the future with Disney. Who wouldn't take the 3 mil now? You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things where it's like, well,
I guess it is guaranteed instead of
yeah, like, how do you say no to that, to potentially being cast in something in the future? Like, because I have that same thought where I'm like, why would you take that? But it's like,
plus, if Sony still owns Spider-Man, and they're still going to own Spider-Man because they're not giving that up anytime soon. And anytime Disney wants to use Spider-Man, they have to interact. Potentially, this could be your gateway into like, I'm a young Ben Parker, and when we get to the point where all the multiverses collide and we have some like insane Secret War shit, potentially, there, so you could hope that you finally get in the MCU. I don't know. I'm very curious what this story's going to be. Yeah, it's pretty obvious this is a prequel
to the Spider-Man.
Spider-Man,
yeah, but
still, what is the story?
I think there's always hope if you fucking kill it.
Sure.
Right? Yeah. Like okay, like the case of Charlie Cox and Daredevil. Like, he fucking killed it. So they're gonna do what they need to do to bring him back.
Right.
Right? Like, if they had recast that role, people would have flipped because he is so beloved in that role. Whereas, controversial opinion, but I don't think that same pull was there for Quicksilver. People are like, but why isn't he? And I'm like, that wasn't as iconic. I'm sorry. Like, it wasn't as iconic.
Right.
Like, that part easier to recast or play off as a joke or just have as a one-off cameo than certain roles like Logan. Like, that's going to be very difficult to redo. Like, I think if you just do a good enough job. So, maybe the hope is that if Adam Scott just utterly kills it as Ben Parker, they find ways
to use him
to bring him back. Yeah.
Yeah. My favorite Adam Scott story, if you haven't seen it before, you can Google it. He's on, I believe it was the Jimmy Kimmel show, but they had a guest host of the girl from, God damn it, I forgot her name. Who's married to Dax Shepard, the blonde actress? She was in Forgetting Sarah Marshall. What'd you say? Kristen Bell. Yes, Kristen Bell was hosting, and Adam Scott's talking about how like he's a huge Star Wars fan, like just a massive Star Wars fan. And there's something happens where like he was going to meet Luke Skywalker one day, but he couldn't do it, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden the Star Wars music kicks in and Mark Hamill like walks out and Adam Scott is like fucking shaking. Like he is he just turns into a kid like right away when he sees him. And that right there was like, all right, I like Adam Scott. Like he's he's one of us. This guy's a true fucking nerd. So I'm super excited to see anything that he's in after that.
The thing that's interesting about this, if you scroll back up a little, the second person they list, just the character doesn't. I'm sure the actress is wonderful, but yeah.
Carpenter?
So yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, internet, but I believe the way if they can stick this out, if this isn't like a one-off and it sucks ass, if they can stick this out, what ends up happening is this Madame Webb ends up being involved with it. I don't remember what the name is. It clearly has a name. It's like the Spider Squad or some shit. I don't know what it's called.
Well, there's the
but
Death
it literally is like Peter, Miles, Spectre, Gwen, like every major Spider-Man character forms like a super team. And this Madame Webb is involved. And so if they can Spider Squad, something like that. I don't remember what it was, but it's literally all of them together and they make like the A team of Spider-Men.
Is it Order of the Web?
Order of the Web, I think is what it is. Yes. And so that is something that if they can stick with it, it could be like, oh shit, right? But again, Into the Spider-Verse exists already. So, but if they can pull it off, they could eventually be like, get all the Spider-Men we have, all three, get Gwen, we can have a Gwen, we can do all, like they could make it happen. And I think that could be interesting. But again, this is all if this movie is any good.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm reading the plot of Order of the Web. They do that to stop Peter Parker from killing someone, I think.
Yeah, and Norman Osborn is involved, and it's like world-ending shit. And like in the end, I think Mary Jane sacrifices herself or tries to sacrifice herself in order to stop it from happening. Yeah, it's like pretty big Into the Spideyverse vibes. But again, it's so far down the pipe. Like it is one of those like 4 much later storylines. Yeah. So I don't know. If this works out, you could see how they might want to start a Spider-Verse thing with real actors. That could be interesting, but they already have a Spider-Verse that's very, very good. So I don't know if they want to mess with that too much.
I mean, the thing with Sony is it's not that they don't have ambition. It's that I don't think they've made a good film yet on their own. That Marvel hasn't been heavily involved.
You are correct.
But
you are super correct.
The unfortunate thing is they're so commercially successful that it doesn't matter. You can make a Venom and a Venom 2, and they're so stupidly successful money-wise that they can continue to put out shit like that.
Was Venom 2 a success?
I'll look. Let's see. Venom 2.
Because I'm really curious if a lot, because there's always that weird lag that happens where something's success.
It made It made 200 million on Friday. It's stupid successful.
I don't get it. But again, I guess Cookie Monster Venom is not the Venom for me. You know what I mean? Like everyone has their own version of like what it should be. And for me, like, okay, Eddie, let's eat this guy, Eddie. I like that's not for me. But I'm not everyone.
Once again, I think that falls into like somebody at the top being like, listen, this has to be a comedy. Everything has to be a comedy. And I know Batman is polarizing, but I will die on the hill that at least it's different. Like I will die on that fucking hill.
I thought that Batman film was fucking incredible.
I loved it.
I think we all did, yeah.
There's some people that are like, you can't even see anything. It's so dark. I'm like, but it's so visually distinct.
It's incredible, yeah.
And now Sandman. You can watch my episode of Bagged and Boarded, humble plug, where I talk about Sandman and how it relates to the comics.
That was incredible.
Like, it's so different. And I love that it's so different. Like, I even loved Umbrella Academy for that. Or
I haven't watched the 3rd season yet. I haven't
seen the newest season of Umbrella Academy yet either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Umbrella Academy is one of those that every progressive season has gotten a little worse.
Yeah,
That's just my opinion, but the first season was, like, one of my favorite things ever. Um, I didn't like Lock and Key, but
I didn't either.
I I just think it's cool because it's, "Oh, here's a different," "here's something that's a little different,"
Yeah,
versus, like,
I
but
thought.
I think what Sony falls into is, like, they're like, "No, it has to be funny, so give him a Cookie Monster voice and eat all the fish in the tank during a date or something," and it's like, "Oh."
I
I
agree.
think it's because it's supposed to be you're trying to sell it to kids as well, and so you don't want it to be as scary as it is. Because during the '90s, the idea of Venom, every comic issue, the cover was like teeth and tongue and slobber, and it was terrifying. And as a
Well,
kid, you wanted that. Like as a kid, you wanted it,
I
and so I
mean,
think this is
Carnage is a
executives
serial
overthinking
killer,
it.
right? So like
Yeah,
they dumbed down Carnage. I haven't seen the film, but he's a fucking serial killer. The first
yeah.
comic I
Like,
think that has him in it has him like taking his finger and shoving it into a guy's face through his eye. It's fucking terrifying to read.
but
So you can't do
it
that
was
in the
one of those
film.
things. Yeah, and I feel like the medium of film and comics is different in that comics, the idea of going to the comic book store and getting that issue that had a Venom v Carnage thing where you knew it was gonna be awful and violent and you like snuck that shit home
Yeah,
and you read that under your covers at night because your parents would be like, "What are you reading?" And like it had a little kind of like it was naughty to have it. And I think that's different than a movie because a movie is you're in a theater with people and parents will be going with the kids. So you have to kind of sell the idea that like it's not as messed up as you think. But when you're a kid, it was messed up, and that's why you wanted it.
yeah.
You wanted to see the crazy stuff that would happen. That's what made Carnage cool. He wasn't cool any other. It was just a wacky dude.
He's
When
just a
you look at
crazy
him,
person.
yeah, Carnage isn't that great of a character, but it was like, whoa, he's so violent and awful. He's like an evil Venom, but Venom was already bad. Whoa! And yeah, it's like, all right.
It's very 90s thinking.
Yes, very 90s.
Yeah, yeah. I wish that would have been like an HBO show. I wish they would have taken like Venom and Carnage and just turned it into an HBO show, like they did with Peacemaker, in terms of the
Yeah.
violence, right? Like that show
Oh,
worked because it
yeah.
was so violent. Um,
I recently rewatched the Spawn trailer, and I
for
was
the
like,
movie,
yeah, yeah, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is so 90s in
so
places."
90s.
It's like edge, where it's like,
I thought
chains and metal, ah.
it was John Linguizamo or
John
whatever it was.
Leguizamo,
He was the clown,
great
right?
character.
He's great. Or not the clown.
Nailed that one.
What was his name? What was the something Ader? What was his name in that
Oh,
movie? Violator. He was
God.
Violator. That's who it was.
Violator, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's I mean, like the
A
HBO
horrible
Spawn
name
show.
for a
If you ever have a
movie.
chance to watch that, the old cartoon they did, that was
Oh
a
yeah.
messed up show.
Man,
That episode with the ice cream guy, whatever his name was, who would like kidnap kids.
I think I've said this a couple times on stream. I don't know if I've told you guys before. Uh, right before we shut down roleplay, we were supposed to have a meeting with Todd McFarlane where he was interested in like taking roleplay stories into something, and it never happened because we shut it down. But that was like one of those things where I was like, oh my fucking god, I have all your toys. Like I have every single toy of yours from the '90s in that box over there. They're fucking incredible. Um, but yeah, that's my Spawn story. Anyways, that's all I got. Never happened.
Mm.
Could have happened. Never did. Also, Bronze, you mentioned Sandman. I haven't talked about it much on stream. I just want to say the episode. Have you watched all of it?
No.
What episode are you on?
7.
Okay. The episode with Death. First
Oh,
30 minutes of that episode.
Yeah.
Incredible. Like, just like, you don't even have to watch the rest of the show. Just watch episode 6, the first 30
Beautiful.
minutes, and you're just like, this is insane. Like,
The
that's so
I
good.
made a thread on this. Sandman is a love letter to the comic book.
Yeah.
It
Oh,
it
yeah.
really is. Like, every episode is named after the issue of the comic, and it follows the plot of the comic. There are some changes because they don't have the rights to use DC stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas in the comics, you have John Constantine, Martian Manhunter, a cameo from Green Lantern, Batman. They're not going to put that in the show.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think it's really good. I really like
Episode.
it. Did you like 24/7?
What episode was that? Was that the
The
diner
diner
scene?
episode.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Diner scene was good. It wasn't as it wasn't as like violent, I think, as
Mhm.
the comic, but it still did a pretty good job.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
and really quickly to go back to what you were saying earlier about like the wokeness of it. I remember seeing a guy. There's only like 3 dudes who post really insane videos on YouTube, but they always show up all the time. And you're like,
Sure.
I don't want to see any more of this. I don't want. But I saw one of those, and it was about how like, look how they sex changed John Constantine. It's like, bro, if you did 2 seconds of research, it was because of legal stuff.
Yeah.
It isn't
They
because
don't
they
have
were like,
rights.
ha, 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 we're gonna
I
try and screw
I
people.
knew
Like,
I knew that without even looking it up. I knew that without even
yeah.
looking it up. I was
Yeah.
like, there's a John Constantine show. They don't have the rights to do John Constantine.
And so they
I
they were like, all right, Joanna Constantine, done, easy.
They
Move
don't have
on.
the rights.
And she was
There's
great.
fine.
no way.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you notice that? You notice that, oh, there's no John Constantine, but you don't notice there's no Martian Manhunter. Same fucking reason. They don't have the rights.
Yeah.
Well, it's also
How
because
are
they
they?
probably didn't read. They've never read the comic, and they know
Yeah.
they saw Joanna Constantine and got outraged
Yeah.
about it. We're like,
I knew.
oh,
I knew he wasn't going to be in there. I would have loved if he was in there. I would have loved even more if it was fucking Keanu Reeves. I would have lost my fucking shit.
Yeah.
But there's no way that was going to happen because that's that's a much bigger IP than Sandman. I'm sorry, but it's a much bigger IP, and I have no doubt in my mind we're going to see Hellblazer again, like in the future. I know that the show
sure.
that was a Constantine show got canceled, but like that's not something they're going to let go. They had a Lucifer spinoff. They've made the spinoffs of Sandman, the Lucifer spinoff before they made Sandman. So and they did do some nods to it, like the actress who plays what's her name? Mezikeen? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
She's from I think Lucifer.
Oh, that was the same
Uh,
actress from
yeah.
Lucifer?
Uh-huh.
I was wondering if that was the same. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know because I'm not up to date on Lucifer until someone told me. So I was like, "Oh, that's kind of cool that they have nods to it." But they can't do that for everything because it has to be there's a lot of legal paperwork. You gotta get 2 companies to shake hands and money to be exchanged for things like that to happen, you know?
Yeah.
Um, yeah. I also think like because some people complain that the person that plays Lucifer in the show is not playing it in the comic. And I was like, I don't know what you watched, but I honestly think Brienne of Tarth killed it. So
Yeah. I thought she was great too.
I think
It's
she
a
was
good
brilliant.
it's a good show. People
It's
just be
good.
complaining.
Yeah.
Well, people were saying that they swapped Lucifer's gender, and I was like, I don't think they swapped Lucifer's gender. I think that he's supposed to be God's most like beloved, beautiful, gorgeous angel. Why can't a woman play that role? Like
Did
what's
they not
prettier
see
than
the act? Did they not see the previous Constantine movie
Yeah.
with Keanu?
Yeah.
Like most angels have a sort of androgynous vibe anyway. And if we're being real, most angels are like an eyeball with like wings made of eyes, and so like get over yourself.
to me, like, I did not feel that that was strange that Lucifer was being played by a female actress because I was like, isn't he supposed to be like so goddamn fucking gorgeous? He kind of looked like,
Yeah. Neil
like
Neil
like
said
right
that
that line.
Neil said that Lucifer is supposed to be like genderless. Like it just so
It's a
happens.
freaking
Yeah.
deity. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, no, it makes sense to me. And then there's been a lot of conversation about desire, and I'm like, desire's always been
I thought
like
that they were great.
non-binary. We didn't have a word for it,
Yeah.
I
Right.
feel like when that comic came out. But
I just
desire is supposed to be whatever you want desire to be,
They
and
were great.
I
therefore
just would like to point out,
do it. Yeah.
just for the record, none of them have junk, by the way.
Sure.
Just gonna
Yeah.
put it out there. Your definition of what a person should be is not what like a mythical,
Endless creature should be.
spiritual
Yeah.
creature like Lucifer don't got a dong or whatever. Like, shut up. It's unimportant.
Yeah.
Like, so
And
dumb.
people are getting mad that death is black, but they completely miss the scene where they show the girl looking out through the bars, and the version of Keikel that she sees, the version of Sandman that she sees is black because they appear as we want them to appear.
Right.
So maybe, I don't know, just maybe open your brain and think, maybe Death being black, the version that's like just if Geikel, if Sandman can be black, why can't Death be black? Maybe she has a white version too. She appears as whatever friendly face she needs to appear as to do her job.
Yeah.
But like there are a lot of people that are saying, "Oh, this is just they're just being horrible." I was like, well, the big thing with the comic is it was predominantly like male and white. I think the changes they made all affected that without upsetting the plot, you know? To me, they made sense. And I like that they include the Raven earlier in this because the other thing, which was my concern going into Sandman, is like, y'all, Morpheus is a brooding son of a bitch, and most of his shit is like inner monologue. And I was like, this is gonna be really hard to put on camera. And they fixed it. They turned Patton Oswalt into a bird. Normally that character doesn't show up until way later in the comics. They put him in early so he has someone to bounce off of and talk to, because otherwise he is a brooding goth emo motherfucker that is doesn't say anything.
He's the originator of emo.
Yes, the OG, you know?
The
So
OG
it's like,
emo. Yeah. Yeah.
Which I love the contrast of like that and his sister Death, who's like so plucky. I liked that. I thought that was like really good.
Yep.
I think they nailed it.
It was good. Watch it on Netflix if you haven't. We can round out today's show. Talk about the ending of season 1 of Ye Old X-Men. Jesse, you're freaking out.
This show is crazy.
How so?
They did the entire Days of Future Past arc in 2 episodes. They did it in 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
It
moves fast.
What's crazier to me, Beast was in prison the entire season.
Yeah.
I thought for sure his arc was like in prison. I thought for sure he would have gotten out and he'd do something. All he did was be a prisoner and then have like a witty, I think he did Shakespeare when they released him from prison. And I was like, all right, cool. Crazy.
To me, that was like such a dope season finale though. Like
Agreed.
it really, like he's almost justified by the end of it, where he's like, I'm not gonna break out of here because I have faith that like you guys will figure out a way to I think he understood. Sorry, I'm gonna get very deep here. I think he understood that him breaking out wouldn't fix anything because they would just grab him and put him back in. And it was like the system that needed to change.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, it's the system that changes. And so I definitely was like, damn, Beast was really the main character of this whole goddamn thing. Like, I was like, wow, that's so beautiful.
I couldn't believe. So in my memory, I remember Mystique being a huge part of this show and the whole like Mystique and Rogue backstory thing and like this whole thing I remember. In this season, Mystique is like, I'm Gambit. I forgot that was a plot point. I forgot there was a whole like, I've got to go back in time and stop Gambit from killing people in DC because he's gonna be the one that starts everything. I forgot Gambit was such an important character.
Yeah.
I forgot like Mystique pretended to be gay. There's so much stuff that
that's why in the late 90s, that's why so many people are upset that Gambit was never cast in the films when they used this plot line.
I totally absolutely forgot that this is season 1. I couldn't believe how much they crammed in this season. Insane to me.
Yeah, and a lot of that was because they didn't know if they were going to get any more episodes, right? So they wanted to like complete the story.
Sure.
But you're right. It moved fast. It was 12, 21-minute episodes or something like that. And they had like Apocalypse shows up. He's in there.
I couldn't believe that after
Cable shows up, Forge is in there,
after we
Bishop,
ended,
After
we ended our last discussion last week, or whatever it was, 2 weeks, whatever it was that we had our conversation.
Yeah, last Monday.
I couldn't believe the next episode was Apocalypse. Like right out the gate, I was like, wait, what? Apocalypse just shows up? And then from there, it's like, all right, and now we're going to have like more Trask stuff. And oh, by the way, also we're doing Days of Future Past now. Oh, and by the way, now Magneto and Charles are going to like team up to fly the X jet or whatever it is into the like crazy. Oh, and by the way, Jean and Cyclops definitely have to get married as well, or at least propose to. I was like, how did all this stuff happen in one season? It was wild.
What I love, though, what the biggest lesson to learn from the X-Men animated series is that they still don't do, they don't completely resolve every plot point, which is so good. They're just like,
not right
well,
away.
Apocalypse isn't a threat for now. And I almost like that, because it's like, yeah, leave them open. If they're disarmed, why not leave them so we can see them again in the future? Why are we stabbing Killmonger and stuff like that? Or like, let's leave it open. Why can't we leave it open?
Yeah.
And I love that they do that, and then they bring it back. And then
Yeah.
it's like, oh, remember this thing from episode 3? It's back now, and it's like, oh,
Mhm.
like, I doubt this the last we're gonna see of Apocalypse. They didn't kill him. They were just like,
He
"Oh, your
comes back.
horsemen have been dealt with. Goodbye, Apocalypse,"
Yeah. I think he's a returning character.
What's genius too is the way that they, in those bringing it back moments, they bring back things that I did not expect. So like when we have the episode where they're underground, they're hanging out with the Morlocks.
Yeah.
In the future, in Bishop's future, we see more Morlocks. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh,
That's where they've been.
well, that's cute.
Yeah.
I love stuff like that. I thought that was great. So yeah, it was very surprisingly, for as insane as it was, I loved every minute of this. I
Me
was
too.
so in, and it was wacky as hell. And I think maybe that's why I liked it, because it was so crazy. I was like, I
Yeah.
can't help but love what I'm watching.
I think one of my favorite things about it, 'cause I 100% agree, Jesse. One of my favorite things about it is how much they hate each other.
Oh
Yes!
yeah. They're not
Yes!
Every
they're not a
episode's
straight up
like,
team. Yeah.
I'm not gonna go with you because I don't trust you, and also I will fucking kill you. Try
And that's
absorbing
mostly Wolverine.
Please, Bishop.
Yeah.
Well, even Gambit, like when they're
Sure.
rebuilding this, Gambit blows something up, like they're constantly fucking with each other, constantly. Where it's like, well, I'm not gonna leave them two alone. They need a babysitter. They just hate each other so much.
Yeah.
Even
And-
like
and what's-
Gambit's like, even you, Storm, you don't believe me, and it's just like, what is
What's
happening? right
fascinating is seeing the growing friendship between all the female characters in the show, and then the
Mhm.
male characters ripping each other apart the entire time. It's so fascinating to see. You're like, Rogue and Storm have been buddies for a while, and now, and you see Jean kind of like opening up to people, and Jubilee being like welcomed to the group, and then every guy in the show is just like, I'll kill you if you come
Right.
near me.
It's very
Blah,
90s.
blah. And then he's like, shut up, you. I'll eye blast you. And he's like, hey, I have my god, mon ami. And then like they just hate each other. And then somewhere in the distance you're like, yeah, Morpheus coming back, bitches. And you're like, this is ridiculous. This show is insane. I loved it. Loved it.
Yeah, that was really good.
It gets I want to say like in the next 2 seasons they introduce like so many more fucking characters. Like just like Spider-Man shows up. He's in there. I think he has like an episode with Wolverine or something like that. They do the whole the dinosaur island thing that's in there. I think the first 2 episodes of the next season are the wedding with Jean Grey and Cyclops. Yeah, the Shi'ar Empire. They go to space and do all that shit. Phoenix Arc, that's all in there. There's a lot. There's so much shit. And I think it's only 3 seasons, but we have to watch it all because they're gonna do the X-Men '97. Like they're continuing it in some
excited.
form. Yeah, I don't
I'm
know.
excited. I hope it's like this because it's so good.
Yeah, I mean, if it'd be kind of if we got the same exact writing, but the animation is in like 4K or 1080p, I'm in. Like, I think that's gonna be a fantastic show. I think that'll be
I
great.
love that there's not, because this is what I've to say since day one. You don't have to like explain everything.
Yeah,
Like you just trust that like people will get it. And my favorite is like when the Sentinel shows up, Magneto's like, no, and he's like, I'm made of plastic. It's like that.
yeah. That's so stupid. So
I
stupid.
lost my shit. I was like, why didn't they make them out of plastic to begin with? But I just love how he's like, no machine can defeat. Oh, what? And he's like, I made a plan.
Yeah.
I was like,
I think it's
here
I,
now in the current MCU, they would have
That's
to do a
fine.
whole story arc of showing how they developed that plastic, of explaining why that plastic is better than that. And I'm like, you don't have to do that. Sometimes you could just say, I'm plastic.
I think the brilliant thing about this, and I will say that I notice this when it lands well, and I think every time it does, it's brilliant. And I will say a great example, modern times of this, is the show Arcane. I think it is
Yeah.
at the end of the day, shows that make you like going back to X-Men, it doesn't explain everything. What it does is it makes you interested in going to find out what the source material is. So you yourself go dig up information and want to learn more. And I think, like I said, Arcane is a great example of that, where it's like, we're just going to give you enough. And now the season's over, go look it up yourself. And that, I think, is what real great expanded universe things do, is make you want to get involved in whatever it is they're trying to like really sell you. So in this case, it's the comics and it's the world of X-Men, and Arcane is like go play League or whatever. But it's that kind of thing that if you can nail that, it works every time. And I think this is a great example of that, where every episode I'm like, I kind of want to just go
Go read
like,
Days of
who,
Future
what
Past.
was that? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think another media or another IP that did a good job of that for me was like Vermintide. You don't really
Yes.
need to know about Warhammer Fantasy to play it. Like you can just jump in and play it. I'm sure the same will be true of Darktide. But Vermintide was my gateway drug. Like that made
Oh,
me
that's
want
the
to
reason
know.
why you bought all the minis.
Yeah, yeah. That and like
Huh.
Jeff got me into it because Jeff was like, read Dan Abnett's
Sure.
Eisenhorn Chronicles. And I was like, okay, yeah. So I read Xenos and I was like, oh my God, Warhammer is so cool. And so that's what got me into 40K specifically. But yeah, Vermintide was the first time I was like, yo, I played this because it's like a horde game and I play all the horde games. But this game is actually really dope. Like I wanted to look up because like freaking Saltspire made me interested in Sigmar because you'll just be idling and he'll be like, no sword can pierce me. Sigmar protect. And I'm like, who is this Sigmar guy that this dude has a hard on for? Like, I need to know, And it
Yeah.
made me so interested in like all of the characters. And I know Dan Abnett is working on Darktide. So I cannot wait to see how Darktide brings people into 40K because I bet you that will happen with 40K for people where they play it. And they're like, I'm just playing it because it's like fun, horde game. And then soon they're gonna be looking up Adeptus Mechanicus lore, and then you're in, and then you're one of us, and you can't get out.
And
And
they're
suddenly
buying
you
the
spent
stupid
$dollars
figurines.
on miniatures.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're
What's
gonna love it.
what's great about it, Bronze, is the 4 characters they picked. They
Mhm.
all have sort of like different angles that they come at it from. And so one of the ladies on the team hates everyone else on the team because they're all like scumbag assholes. And she's like really holy and in it for the Emperor. And so it is super interesting to watch her like chastise everyone constantly on the team. And so that like is another like, well, why? Who is she? What? And I think again, it just you want to know more. Why is this? And that's
Warhammer Chaos Gate is like an XCOM style Warhammer game that also nailed this. You have like an Inquisitor, and then you have people that are like, we fucking hate Inquisitors. And you have this Admech Bay that's just like, irrelevant. I hate these quarreling mortals. Looking at the numbers, the most optimal course of action is this, And you have like they don't get along, but they're all working for the same mission. But yeah, this Inquisitor shows up out of nowhere and is like, "This is my ship now," and everyone's like, "You can't do that." She's like, "Actually, I can." And then it's like, but
yeah,
they're all
it's
trying to chaos. Like they're all trying to. But they all have different ideologies, different approaches. What one considers heretical, the other considers just a very useful means of accomplishing an end goal.
but that
Some people
but
think psychers
that's
are seeing other things. They're useful tool.
but that's what's fascinating that connects directly to X-Men is that you have all these characters you're introducing to kids to for the first time maybe, and you have like a Magneto, and you have a Wolverine and a Gambit and Professor X, and you have Beast sitting in jail. You have all these characters who are coming from different perspectives and different
Mhm.
angles, and they don't bother to like overload a kid with a bunch of crap. They're just like, if the kid wants to know more, they'll go buy the comic, and that's the perfect way to do it. And so so often people think they like overthink this shit, and they're like, no, if we don't explain it, then they won't know. It's like, no, they'll figure it out.
Yeah.
They'll know.
They got
Someone
the internet.
like, all you need I think about this all the time, and I always bring this up. Someone help tell me how when I was a child, there was no Star Wars movies except for the original 3, but I knew the Emperor's last name or whatever was Palpatine. That wasn't in any of those movies. How as a kid did I know that? It's because somewhere there was additional source material that said so, and I know I looked that shit up because I was curious about that world. And it's that kind of thing that like kids are curious by nature. And so if you don't give them everything, a curious kid who cares will go. It's just like dinosaur movies. Jurassic Park didn't spend hours explaining every little ounce of dinosaur detail. I, as a kid, was curious and went to go look up more information. And then I learned more about them, and so I was super hyped.
Dinosaur Kid is an archetype, the way Horse Girl is. There's like Horse Girl, Dinosaur Kid. And I've met a few dinosaur kids in my life, and they're always like, "Oh yeah, this is a Spinosaurus. It could do this,
That's
this, and this."
Jesse.
Yeah, and I'm like, "Oh wow, I
That's
didn't know
Jesse.
there were that many kinds of
But that's like
dinosaurs."
that is
'Cause I
the
did.
absolute key to, as it like from teacher Jesse's side, that is the key to kids wanting to learn more. Is if you interest them in something, they'll go learn it themselves.
Mm.
You don't have to hold their hands or guide them. They will find the information. And X-Men, this show, is the absolute. It seems crazy to say this, but it's a perfect example of that when you consider like the massive, many year spanning saga of the X-Men and what X-Men is really truly about at its core, about acceptance and like society. Like when a kid goes down that path, that's brilliant to be like, we don't have to explain the ins and outs of this shit to them. They'll find it on their own. And I'm so watching this again, I was like, man, I'm so glad I had a show like this as a kid. Like, this is great. I loved this.
It's good.
Shout out to Mr. Baldwin, 4th grade. Or sorry, 5th grade. Got me into Greek and Roman mythology and eventually Viking mythology. That was all him.
Yeah.
Based off of
I
like,
love
what I was reading and what I was into. He was like, "Do you want to see the source material that inspired all this?" I was like, "Sure." He let me borrow this book. And we talk about it after class. Yeah. It was also the first time I realized how horrible people are with rumors, because he used to have all these rumors about him. And one of them was that like he smokes, he does this and that, all this other stuff. One day I asked him, I said, "Everyone says you have a pack of cigarette in your back pocket and that you give kids cigarettes." Pulled it out as a pack of playing cards, and he did a magic trick for me. And after that, I literally hated everyone my age.
Did he pull a cigarette out of thin air?
No,
that would
but
be crazy.
I started hating people my age because they like talked so much shit on this guy, and they were like, "Oh, he's divorced and he lives in his car and all that stuff." And so one day I like asked him, and like none of that was true. And I was like, I hate children. Like
That's
he's
rumors.
such a nice. Everyone's so mean, and they say such horrible things about him.
Yeah, that's rumors.
And after that, I just didn't like kids my age. I like old people.
There you go. That's how you do it. We'll have to watch season 2. There's 5 seasons. I was there's 5 seasons.
There's 5?
Yeah.
didn't
Doesn't
realize
Disney
that.
only have 3?
No, it goes from.
Do they have all 5?
Isn't that why it's called X-Men 97?
Yeah,
because it goes from
93.
92 to 97.
Yes, 92.
So 97 is the continuation,
Yeah,
right? That's what I assumed.
It is, yeah. I just don't remember seeing 5 seasons on Disney Plus. That's a lot of seasons.
It's gonna be set in 97 then too, right?
I guess. Yeah. I mean, all whatever's happened in the rest of the
In
show.
for some fun. The kids are in for a good time.
Well, I mean, do y'all remember what happens in the final episode? Okay.
Not at all.
I don't know what they're gonna do.
Sign me up.
I
don't remember.
The final episode's called Graduation Day.
I don't remember anything that happens at the end. All I remember is that at some point we get like the dinosaur island, and at some point we get
that's early.
Phoenix, and then we get like some crazy stuff. And then of course we get eventually becomes the like I'm Juggernaut, bitch. We get that.
Yeah.
Like that's all in this, but I
Omega
don't remember
Red
how it ends
shows
at
up.
all.
He's in there.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Well, we had Master
Onslaught.
Mold.
Oh yeah, Master Mold. He shows up. Shows
No,
up.
I mean like, we had him. in
Right,
this-
right. He shows up again though. Is what I'm saying. He's already in
That
there.
happened right after Days of Future. The pacing on this is wild.
It's wild.
Fucking
I wonder if it changes when they now know they have more seasons, and so it becomes sort of a different show.
Someone
I'm
said
very
season
curious.
2
I don't
slower.
remember. Yeah, I don't remember the overall flow of this show at all. Again, it was a long time ago. We're talking 92. That's 30 years ago.
Someone said season 4 and season 5 are animated completely different because the studio got bought out by Saban. I think they give Apocalypse fangs, for example.
Animated completely different.
Yeah, I
I
wonder.
can't wait. I can't wait.
Guess we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
They gave him vampire fangs?
I guess. Yeah, I don't recall that. The latest I remember watching was the Phoenix arc, and I think that's season 3. I remember
maybe
like
they meant Mr. Sinister has fangs.
Yeah, I mean Mr. Sinister.
That would make
maybe.
more sense.
Yeah.
Did anybody else think it was hilarious? There's so many like small little things that made me laugh out loud in the show. One of my favorites is like Xavier's like X-Men, come to me or whatever. And they all go and Rogue is like, oh, Jubilee's asleep. Okay, anyway. So she leaves it out.
No, dude, the best part, I sent this to Jesse. The stupid TikTok my phone's right here, and it heard me say animated X-Men, right? So then later that night, on my TikTok feed were animated X-Men memes. Fucking TikTok, right? So the funniest one, I sent this to Jesse on I think a text or something like that. It was with zero context, and a building falls on top of Storm, right? Like completely falls on top of her. Cyclops turns around and says, "Help! Storm is claustrophobic."
Yes. But that's I honestly I know that
so
scene
stupid
seems
looking.
insane, but it's like such a very quick way to point out.
Yeah.
Here's a character bit about Storm, and
Yeah.
Well,
it's the same
yeah, the
thing
show
as-
kind of
as-
has led up to that as well. They were teasing that she was,
but it's the exact same thing as what Bronze was saying about like, oh no, he's plastic. Same
Yes.
thing. It's just like a real quick storytelling note, and you as a kid get it instantly. But it's also like if you're as an adult watching it, it seems insane that someone thought we must add this line. It's very weird, but it's actually, I don't know, it's strangely endearing. I have no clue. And maybe that's just all nostalgia. Maybe this is an entire nostalgia trip for me because I remember watching this show and loving it. And so I have no clue, but everything
For
in
me,
this, I'm like, yep, that
nostalgia.
checks out.
I think for me it's like sometimes it can be that simple. Cause like why is it that when we acknowledge that anytime you critique any of these movies at all, I hear the same thing. Just turn off your brain and enjoy it. Just turn off your brain and enjoy it. Just turn off your brain and enjoy it.
Yeah.
But then so like we generally as a society we understand these are not like Oscar award winning films that are here to be pros on the screen. So then why do we treat it like that when we're writing it? Like, well, no, we have to come up with a very elegant solution and da 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 da. I feel like the over exposition is what kills it. Like, I think you could have just had these super powered beings in Miss Marvel, but instead they're like, there's a there's a newer dimension, and the newer is in you, and the newer was unlocked because of this bangle, and also my son's newer is unlocked because he also has the bangle, and if the newer dimension collides with this dimension, everything's gonna get deleted. So, and it's like, what is all the, we didn't need all this exposition.
I
Y'all
think
could have been like, you literally could have said, wow, it seems like the bracelet unlocks something in you. I don't know what that is, but you have superpowers now. And at the end, they could have been like, she's a mutant. That's why. But instead, they're like, nope, we have to explain all of this. You're a djinn. And the djinn, the Ajnabi, the djinn people, they've been, and I'm like, And then half of those plot lines don't even go anywhere because they're like, we have to explain everything to the audience.
Yeah.
This moment right now, I explain all of it. And I'm like,
I do think there's two
didn't
people.
really.
There's what everything you just described and hating that, and then there's the flip side of everything you just described and loving that. Right? So like
But there's
Yeah.
there's in a situation where they can't win unless it's just a good film. And that's how they usually win. When it's just like, oh,
there's
Thor
like
Ragnarok was good.
there's good and bad ways to do like I don't want to say mythological, but like that extra bit of like paranormal stuff. There's
Yeah.
good and the best example I can think of is if you've ever played the first Dishonored game. That literally
Mhm.
has a paranormal element to it that they explain nothing to you. But you get enough that you're like, holy shit, there's something going on here that's like way bigger. They don't really pay it off in Dishonored 2, but in the first one, it's got this like incredible, you only see one city, you only experience one part of the world, and there's a bigger world, there's a bigger thing going on, and you find little scraps and paper, and it's that kind of thing that I think is like, it has all this extra bullshit, and if you're into that, you can have it. And you can like really sink your teeth into it, but it's unnecessary. And I think that's the fine line you have to walk where, I love the idea of introducing like, oh, there's this alternate reality, it's this and this and this. But when you weigh it down with like all the terms and all the like, you are this and this thing and this thing. And if the Nord dimension does this, it does this, and it becomes too much. It's suddenly now it's like, you could have had
They could've
something. We
really
could have done
just
something.
alluded to the partition. Like, they didn't have to do an episode on the partition. They could have been like, well, this thing called the partition happened. So like, we don't know what happened to Aisha, and we don't know where this bangle comes from. We have no clue. And that could have been a story that unfolded over the next 3 seasons, and we could have focused on a girl in Jersey navigating puberty crushes and superpowers with people
Yeah.
trying to shut her down and people trying to shut her mosque down. That's a much more emotionally compelling story. The Red Daggers had no payoff. I still don't know how they knew Aisha. I like pointed that out. I was
Yeah.
like, at what point would she have interacted with them? And they all acted like, oh, we knew Aisha. I'm like, how? Because she never made it to Pakistan. Like, she never got
Right.
there. So like in their rush to explain things, they tend to explain them very poorly because they are over here trying to develop us plots. Like, just leave it open. I get some people get frustrated where they're like, but where did the bangle come from? It's like, shut up. You
Yeah.
don't need to know right now. Like, just know that she's got it and it gives her powers.
The
Yeah.
brilliance of that is like saying, where did the bangle come from? Maybe you'll find out in season 2. Like, that's
Yeah.
the smart money, is like, leave the open-ended thing like that. You don't have to explain everything immediately. That's the whole point of this stuff, which again makes me feel like they felt like, we got one season, cram everything we can cram into this one season. We'll never get another season. It seems
Yeah.
like that was the vibe of this, but because it also relates to X-Men, this first season, seems like they crammed in everything, except, again, with this first season, they were like, look, we got 21 minutes. We can't explain everything. Kids will figure it out. And I think that's the right way to go with stuff like this, is if you have 6 episodes, don't cram it full of stuff that doesn't matter to the characters. There is no way they could have done a Beast in prison storyline in something like Miss Marvel, where it's just like, we're going to let a character stay in one place, and the character's going to be that character, and their growth is that the world changes. They don't. They are firm in their belief. And there's no way they would have found a way to put that in there, because every single episode of Miss Marvel, everyone changes all the time. And you're just like, okay.
Yeah, the
Cool.
pacing is off. Yeah. And I feel like the Beast message is like a super strong one, but they do a really good job of just adding in, and it might seem shoehorned, but it's actually kind of cute. Like, even with Rogue, it's just like a little throwaway scene where she's driving and Gambit's like, oh my God, like, what the fuck? You drive like a maniac. And she's like, oh, he's like, who taught you how to drive? And she's like, good old boys on old country roads. You learn so much from Rogue from that fucking line.
Yeah.
She drives like a maniac because she was riding around in Jeeps and trucks with, like country boys on back roads. And I think that's so cute. And that's kind of what's missing from a lot of shows now, is like that cute, that little cute shit where it's like, why do you drive like a maniac? And like, little things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect example. Very good.
I agree. Well, I hope we all come back next Monday and we're ranting about how good She-Hulk is.
I hope so too, man.
I just don't know.
I hate when I don't like a show because I'm like, oh God.
I'll be
God,
honest. The fourth wall breaking stuff usually does not land with me. It is very rare
Okay.
that there's a fourth wall break, and I'm like, okay, that was good. So I'm already gonna maybe be like a test subject to see if it lands. Because I couldn't like, what is a good landing a fourth wall that's occurred?
Deadpool.
Yeah, okay, yeah,
But that character is built for it.
sure,
I would also say good fourth wall landing is Mr. Robot.
yeah,
Oh.
That's
yeah. But
incredible
Mr.
fourth
Robot
wall.
is it works for Mr. Robot because everything in Mr. Robot is like, what the fuck is going on?
Well, exactly. And I think
Yeah,
that's why
yeah,
it lands. It's like
true.
when a guy turns to the camera and goes, "Are you seeing this?" You're like, "Oh shit." Like that's the kind of stuff that
Yeah,
works.
Oh.
And so it's all about the context, right? If it's a show where it is her telling the story of that time or something like that, it's easier to accept a fourth wall break. But from the trailer, we can see there's a moment where she turns to the camera and Hulk literally looks at the camera as well. So in that moment, is she turning to look at nothing? And Hulk is like, "What are you doing?" We'll find out. I have no clue.
I kind of wish it was like shot like What We Do in the Shadows. That's my hope. Is that people are
where it's like
chronicling like,
goofy.
"Hey, we established," like, or like The Office, like, "We've established a new division of superhuman law, and we're gonna document the behind the scenes making of it." Because that's my
Mm,
favorite part of, like, fourth wall breaking in What We Do in the Shadows is when they look at the camera and, like, there's characters that'll even be like, "Wait, who was all these? Oh, they're making a documentary about us, ignore them." Anyways, and, like, sometimes characters will interrupt their confessionals and she'll be like, "Shut up, Gizmo, I'm doing my confessional thing right now." And I kinda love that they shoot it like that. I
Yeah,
think if
yeah.
that's part of it, where if they are looking at the camera like, like, because it's in the universe that there's someone recording them, I think that is what will make it land for me.
was there
But
in the comics? Was there ever an explanation about the fourth wall? Who they were talking to? Okay,
I
I
don't
don't
think
think we'll
you
get one
break
then.
fourth wall depending on which run you're reading. But in comics, fourth wall breaks are rare and they also work better.
Yeah, that's true.
Because usually it's like inner monologue stuff, if that makes sense. It's not like them verbally saying, "Did you see that, reader?" It'll be like a brain bubble, like, "Between you and me, I don't think that Abomination is much of a threat, but around these parts, he's considered." So, like, you don't really have to break fourth wall in comics that much, but, like, Deadpool and Gwenpool are famous for and Harley Quinn
Yeah,
are famous for breaking the fourth wall, but they do it really well, so.
cool. Well, I hope it doesn't suck. Are reviews out? I wonder if the review embargo is actually up. That might not happen till tomorrow. Let's see. I'll just look real quick. Uh, I don't see any.
No,
No,
it's
I don't see
the
any reviews
reviewers.
for it.
They're not out yet.
Yeah. Well, it's probably tomorrow then, if not Wednesday. They usually are closer to launch dates, so we will see. I guess if all we get out of this is we get to see more Mark Ruffalo as Hulk, kind of I'm okay with that. Like I'm all right with that. I think he's really fun to watch on screen. I also wonder if we'll get to see more like human Hulk, right? Because doesn't he
Yeah,
show up?
I love Flo. I think he's such a great Hulk, but I will not restart my lamentations of how I haven't enjoyed Hulk writing. 'Cause
Yeah,
I do
yeah,
think he's a great Hulk.
yeah. He's great. It just hadn't had the best writing, so we'll see. We're gonna get a lot of them, I think, in this show. We're gonna get a lot of like crossover stuff, and we'll discuss it next Monday. Let's do some shout outs. Call it a show. Jesse, you want to start us off?
Sure. Hey, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. It's exciting to be back, and I'm excited for a new show, and I'm super excited to take some time to do all that. Boy, oh boy. We have a plethora of video games coming out.
A
So if you enjoy
plethora?
those, would you say we have a plethora? Yes, I would say we have a plethora of games coming out. My God, August 23rd. I can already think of Saints Row, I believe, is coming out.
Uh huh.
The Total War Immortal Empire is coming out for
Correct.
Warhammer. New Final Fantasy 14. patch, whatever.
6.2, correct.
Like there's so like in my world, I got like 8 games coming out in the span of a week, so it's gonna be a wild time. Super excited. And then just the normal stuff I do, hanging out, being silly. So excited for that, and just being a big old goof on the internet. I'm back, so back to work I go. We'll see.
I hope. Bronze, do some shout outs. What do you got going on?
Hi, hello. I'm that bronze girl. Right now I'm playing Cult of the Lamb, and it's the most fun I've been having playing a game in a minute. I know people think of me as a hateful person, but I don't think y'all realize how much I love when I like something. Like I'm just like, yes, finally. So I really love Stray and now Cult of the Lamb. So my life is amazing right now because I'm not being disappointed in games, and that's always a good feeling. Yeah, I stream on Twitch. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter and YouTube. Yeah, I've been editing videos and putting them up on all those places. And my D&D weekly D&D game Shikar comes back tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard.
Ooh.
Yeah, so come check it out. We take little breaks in between, and that's our long running campaign. So, and the one I DM. So come by if you like my DMing. I think you do. I'm a decent DM. I've read the Dungeon Master's Guide.
Nice. I've heard that's the first step.
And that is why you fail. You read the Dungeon Master's Guide? You might as well just be terrible. You know rules?
Wow.
Jesse's never read it. Jesse's never read anything. And he's
Jesse actually can't read.
I actually don't know. Yeah, I can't read. I don't know how.
Yeah.
I also got
only audiobooks for me.
Book, which is the 40K role-playing game. And I'm excited to see.
Wait, what? Dark Heresy? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's Wrath and Glory, as it's the current edition by Cubicle 7.
Oh, I don't think I've seen that. Is that brand new?
I don't think it's brand new. It's newer.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, and then Spelljammer's dropping soon. I did a video on Spelljammer ship combat.
When does that
Dungeons
come
and
out?
Dragons channel. I think it comes out. I already have my pre-release edition, so I don't know what the actual release date is.
Wow, look at this bronze over here.
Well.
Yeah.
Wizards of the Coast NDA'd me, and to make their ship combat videos, like I got it like way early.
Wow. I guess I could do shout outs here real quick. What do we got going on? Stuff? There's new Path of Exile League on Friday. I might check that out. I'm still trying to work my way through Xenoblade, but that's a 100+ hour game. So that's a lengthy playthrough. Tomorrow, me and Stripper are going to be playing some sponsored Tribes of Midgard. I think that starts at 2 p.m. Eastern. I'm still working through Cult of the Lamb like Bronze. I also want to check out Spider-Man on the PC because I heard it looks really good. On the 26th and the 27th of this month, we're going to be watching the Hobbit trilogy as well as the original trilogy of Lord of the Rings. We'll be marathoning those on Twitch via a watch party. So if you want to watch those with the chat, feel free to stop on by. And then on September 1st, I'm actually taking a little bit of a break. So there will be no MCU crew until I get back, which I know I'm at least taking 2 weeks off, but I'm not sure if it's going to extend further than that. So there will not be a show on the 5th of September or the 12th of September. But She-Hulk runs 9 weeks. So we'll still be able to discuss all that stuff. In the meantime, probably we'll be back by the 19th. But if not, we'll definitely do a show on the 26th. So that's what we got coming up. What I got coming up. That's what everyone else has got coming up as well in their shout outs. I'm going to go take more medicine because I'm way too coherent. You know, I need to get real sloppy on stream. I got to get all over the place.
That's my favorite version. I like the sloppy you. I just like sloppy. Yeah.
I don't have anything else to say.
I don't like the way you say sloppy.
Yeah,
you don't like the way I say sloppy? I say it like, shout out to old Adam Sandler. You like your sloppy joes? Actually, it was Adam Sandler, whatever it is. Extra sloppy. Yeah, that's how I think about it all the time. Yeah.
Well, didn't he have a song?
To say sloppy.
Didn't he have a song where he sings Sloppy Joe and Billy?
Well, that was actually Saturday Night Live, where Chris Farley was the lunch lady. That was Lunch Lady Land.
Oh.
Yes, I'm very old, so don't worry.
No, you're right. You're right.
Sloppy.
All right. Bronze doesn't get that reference. Probably half a chat will get that reference, though. We're out of here. We'll see you next Monday. We'll come with our thoughts on She-Hulk. first episode. It's out Thursday. Watch it. Be prepared. We'll also watch more X-Men. I guess the next break. We'll see. We'll have some break period. By the way, does She-Hulk take us all the way to Black Panther? Or is there like a 2 or 3 week break? It's 9 weeks. Let's see.
I don't know.
So I go Thursday. Yes. When does Black? Yes, it does.
Question: is there an episode after Black Panther airs?
No, I'm sorry. I'm incorrect. I forgot that October exists. I think this takes us
I
halfway.
forgot that October exists.
Yeah.
There's like a month or something in there.
I think this takes us into like early October. So there's like a 2 or 3
right.
week break.
Cool.
Also, does Game of Thrones start Sunday?
Couldn't tell you.
I think that starts Sunday. Okay.
Somewhere, my love of Game of Thrones exists, but it's not in this reality anymore.
But Jesse, George R.R. Martin said that it was really, really good and you should watch it.
I'm sure he got paid a ton to say that.
It's going to be so exciting to watch more Game of Thrones, Jesse.
My mom thinks so too. My mom is like, I'll give it a watch. I didn't watch the first show, and this one looks neat. I was like, all right. She's like, I heard you don't even have to watch the first one to get it. I'm like,
do y'all watch Better Call Saul? That ends tonight.
yes. Amazing. Great show.
Did you see their tweet? I don't even watch the show, and I got like chills. Their tweet says, like that's Saul folks or something like that. They made like a joke out of it. I don't know. I might
see it.
watch that.
Also, I got to watch a whole season of Westworld, so shit.
Oh, geez. A lot of
Good.
shows.
Yeah, I got stuff to do.
A lot of shows. All right. We're rambling. We're out of here. Thanks for watching. Did we break 3 hours? Nope. Still the best 1 hour show that ran 2.5 hours. Have a good one. We'll see you next week for She-Hulk. Bye-bye.